Have you ever felt like life throws curveballs at you just when you're trying to get ahead? You're not alone. Life has a knack for testing us in the most unexpected ways. But what if I told you that the secret to not just surviving, but thriving lies in a few brutally honest lessons? These aren't sugar-coated tips or fleeting motivational quotes. These are raw, unfiltered truths grounded in the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Truths that, if embraced, can revolutionize the way you live. Before we dive into these lessons, let me share a story. A simple yet profound tale that will set the stage for what's to come. There was once a blacksmith named Marcus who lived in a bustling Roman village. Known for his strength and skill, Marcus was the go-to craftsman for soldiers, merchants, and villagers alike. But despite his physical prowess and thriving business, Marcus carried a deep sense of dissatisfaction. His days were filled with endless hammering, yet his nights were plagued by restless thoughts and self-doubt. One day, an elderly philosopher named Seneca stopped by Marcus's forge to have a sword repaired. As Seneca watched Marcus work, he noticed the blacksmith's frustration. "Your hands are strong, but your mind is restless," said the old man. Marcus, taken aback, paused. "I'm always busy, yet I feel like I'm getting nowhere. My mind is cluttered, and I can't seem to find peace." Seneca smiled knowingly. "You remind me of a blade dulled by haste and neglect. You sharpen it with great force, but you forget that precision matters more than power. Life is no different. If you hammer away without clarity or purpose, you'll wear yourself out." Intrigued, Marcus asked, "What should I do then?" The philosopher placed his hand on Marcus's anvil and said, "Learn these lessons well, Marcus. Master your mind, embrace discomfort, and focus only on what you can control. Everything else is noise." From that day forward, Marcus began to change. He stopped obsessing over things outside his control and focused on honing his craft with care and intention. He embraced setbacks as lessons and found strength in simplicity. Over time, Marcus not only became a master blacksmith, but also a man of unshakable calm and purpose, a living testament to the power of Stoic wisdom. Now, let's uncover 45 brutally honest lessons that can do for your life what Seneca's wisdom did for Marcus. Get ready to transform not just the way you think, but the way you live. 1. The pain of staying comfortable is worse than the pain of growth. Comfort is a tempting illusion. It tells you to stay put, to avoid risk, to embrace the familiar. But this seductive lie carries a heavy price: regret. The cost of staying in your comfort zone is a life half-lived, one filled with untapped potential and missed opportunities. Comfort feels good in the moment, but over time it morphs into a prison. It's subtle, tightening its grip with each day you spend avoiding discomfort. The harder truth is this: the pain of growth, while difficult, is temporary. The pain of staying comfortable lasts forever. Stoicism teaches us to face discomfort head-on because it's the only way to grow. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." The very obstacles we fear, struggles, challenges, uncertainties, are the pathways to our greatest transformations. Growth requires you to step into the unknown, to confront fear, and to endure discomfort. It's not easy, but the alternative is stagnation. Think of all the moments in your life when you avoided growth because it felt too hard. Maybe you stayed in a toxic job because the thought of starting over seemed overwhelming. Perhaps you avoided a tough conversation with someone because you didn't want to deal with the fallout. Each time, you chose short-term comfort over long-term fulfillment. But what did that comfort really give you? Did it bring you closer to the life you want? Or did it leave you feeling stuck, knowing deep down you're capable of more? It's not just about the big decisions either. Growth is in the small, daily choices. Waking up earlier to exercise instead of hitting snooze. Choosing to read and learn instead of scrolling aimlessly on your phone. Taking the first step toward a daunting goal, even when you're filled with doubt. These are the moments that define your character. Each time you choose growth over comfort, you're building resilience, discipline, and self-respect. And with each small win, you create momentum that propels you forward. The truth is, nothing worthwhile in life comes without effort. Discomfort is the price you pay for growth, and growth is the price you pay for a fulfilling life. Staying comfortable may feel safe now, but it's a dangerous game. Over time, the comfort you cling to will suffocate your dreams, leaving you with nothing but regret. The pain of stepping outside your comfort zone pales in comparison to the pain of realizing you wasted your potential. Growth isn't easy, but it's always worth it. 2. What you tolerate, you endorse. Every day, the choices you make and the behaviors you accept define your standards. What you tolerate, whether from others or yourself, is what you ultimately endorse. Tolerating disrespect, mediocrity, or laziness sends a silent message. This is okay. It doesn't just affect how others treat you, it shapes how you see yourself. Every time you let something slide, you reinforce the idea that this behavior is acceptable. It becomes the norm, not just for others, but for your own mind. Think of the times you've let people overstep your boundaries. Maybe a friend constantly cancels plans at the last minute, leaving you feeling disrespected. Or a colleague takes credit for your work, and you let it go because confronting them feels uncomfortable. Each time you tolerate these actions, you teach others how to treat you. Worse, you teach yourself that your feelings and boundaries don't matter. But this isn't just about how others behave. It's about how you treat yourself. When you hit snooze on your alarm instead of getting up to tackle your day, you're tolerating a lack of discipline. When you procrastinate on your goals, you're endorsing mediocrity. Every small decision you make sets the tone for your life. If you accept less than you deserve, that's exactly what you'll get. The harsh reality is this: life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're willing to tolerate. If you settle for toxic relationships, you'll find yourself surrounded by negativity. If you allow yourself to skip workouts, you'll feel the impact on your health. If you accept mediocrity in your career, you'll never reach your full potential. The standards you set are entirely up to you, but they come with consequences. To break this cycle, you must demand more from yourself and from others. This doesn't mean being harsh or unforgiving. It means being clear about what you will and won't accept. Hold yourself accountable for your actions. Speak up when someone crosses a line. Most importantly, believe that you deserve better and act accordingly. By refusing to tolerate anything less than respect, effort, and integrity, you raise the bar for your life. The truth is, tolerating poor behavior or low standards is a form of self-betrayal. It chips away at your confidence and self-respect. But when you stand firm in your boundaries and expectations, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself. You declare that you are worthy of better, and the world will start to reflect that back to you. What you tolerate, you endorse. Choose wisely. 3. High standards create conflict. Setting high standards is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it fuels excellence, pushes you to grow, and ensures you don't settle for mediocrity. On the other hand, it often invites resistance, criticism, and conflict. When you hold yourself and others to a higher standard, you challenge the status quo, and not everyone appreciates being challenged. People are naturally resistant to change, especially when it exposes their own lack of effort or commitment. High standards highlight gaps, and that can make others uncomfortable. You've likely experienced this before. Maybe you've worked in a team where your drive to go above and beyond made others accuse you of being too much or trying too hard. It's not that your standards are the problem, it's that your standards disrupt their comfort. This conflict isn't just external, it's internal too. Setting high standards means pushing yourself to places you've never been before. It's waking up earlier, staying up later, and giving 110% when you'd rather give up. It's holding yourself accountable when no one else is watching. High standards demand relentless consistency, and that consistency often feels lonely. You'll face moments of doubt, exhaustion, and even failure. But those moments are the price of growth. High standards create conflict because they expose what's possible. They force others, and yourself, to confront the uncomfortable truth that you can always do more, be more, and achieve more. This truth is empowering, but it's also unsettling. People resist it because it forces them to question their own choices. They might label you as difficult or unreasonable, but that's often a reflection of their own insecurities. The key is to stay firm in your standards without becoming rigid. High standards should inspire, not alienate. They should serve as a guiding principle for your actions, not a weapon to judge others. You can't control how people react, but you can control how you lead by example. When others see you living up to your own expectations, they may feel inspired to rise to the occasion, or they may retreat. Either way, that's not your burden to carry. Living with high standards is not the easy path, but it's the path that leads to self-respect, growth, and fulfillment. Yes, it creates conflict, but it also creates clarity. It separates those who are committed to their best selves from those who are content with mediocrity. It's not for everyone, but if you're reading this, it's likely for you. Embrace the conflict. It's a sign you're on the right path. 4. Perfection takes relentless effort. Perfection is often misunderstood. It's not about being flawless. It's about striving for excellence in every detail. It's a commitment to doing the best you can with the resources you have. But make no mistake, this pursuit is not for the faint of heart. Perfection, or anything close to it, requires relentless effort, discipline, and sacrifice. Many people dream of perfection, but aren't willing to pay the price. They see the results of someone's hard work, a masterpiece painting, an awe-inspiring athletic performance, a flawlessly executed project, and assume it came naturally. What they don't see are the countless hours of practice, the sleepless nights, and the moments of doubt. They don't see the relentless effort behind the scenes that made it possible. The pursuit of perfection demands more than talent. It demands consistency. Talent gets you started, but effort is what keeps you going when the novelty wears off. It's showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It's reworking the same idea 100 times until it feels right. It's refusing to settle for good enough because you know you're capable of more. This relentless pursuit isn't glamorous. It's exhausting, lonely, and often thankless. But it's also deeply rewarding. When you commit to excellence, you build a level of self-respect and confidence that no one can take away. You prove to yourself that you can do hard things, and that belief spills over into every area of your life. However, there's a trap in the pursuit of perfection: the fear of imperfection. Many people get so caught up in the idea of doing something perfectly that they never start. They procrastinate, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, or the perfect idea. But perfection isn't about waiting. It's about starting and refining along the way. It's about embracing the messiness of growth and trusting that effort will lead to improvement. Perfection also requires letting go of the need for external validation. If you're chasing perfection to impress others, you'll never feel satisfied. True perfection is an internal standard, a promise you make to yourself to give your best effort, regardless of who's watching. In the end, perfection isn't about the outcome. It's about the process. It's about the relentless effort you put in, the lessons you learn along the way, and the person you become in the process. It's not easy, and it's not quick, but it's always worth it. 5. The artist must create for themselves. Art, in its truest form, is deeply personal. Whether you're a painter, writer, musician, or someone simply expressing their unique vision in any field, the essence of what you create must come from within. When the artist begins to create for others, to chase approval, applause, or validation, the work loses its authenticity. It becomes a performance rather than an act of self-expression. Creating for yourself doesn't mean ignoring your audience. It means that your primary motivation must come from an inner drive rather than external expectations. Art is born from the depths of your experiences, emotions, and observations. It's not about conforming to trends or pleasing everyone. It's about staying true to your voice. When you create from this place of authenticity, you connect with others on a deeper level, not because you're catering to their preferences, but because you're offering something real. There's a temptation to adapt your work to what's popular or profitable. You may think, if I just do this one thing, it'll resonate with more people, and while that may bring temporary success, it often leads to creative burnout and dissatisfaction. The joy of creation fades when the focus shifts from personal fulfillment to external validation. The artist becomes a performer trapped in the expectations of others, losing the very essence that made their work special. Creating for yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. It means embracing vulnerability and sharing your perspective, even if it's not universally accepted. True artistry comes with risks. Not everyone will understand or appreciate what you create, and that's okay. Art isn't about being universally loved, it's about being honest. The act of creating for yourself also fosters resilience. When your motivation comes from within, you're less affected by criticism or rejection. You understand that not everyone needs to like your work, because it wasn't made for everyone, it was made for you. This perspective allows you to take risks, experiment, and grow without fear of failure. After all, failure in art is only possible when you stop creating. When you create for yourself, your work becomes timeless. It's not tied to fleeting trends or external approval. It's a reflection of your journey, your growth, and your truth. The most impactful art is often the most personal, because it's honest. And honesty resonates far more deeply than perfection or popularity. So, as an artist, whether in the literal or metaphorical sense, ask yourself why you create. If the answer is for applause or approval, it's time to reevaluate. But if the answer is because you must, because you can't imagine not creating, then you're on the right path. Create for yourself and let the world catch up. 6. Repetition is the road to mastery. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a journey paved with repetition. Whether it's learning a new skill, honing a craft, or achieving excellence in any field, there are no shortcuts. The secret to mastery lies in doing the same thing over and over again, refining your technique and pushing your limits. Repetition isn't glamorous, but it's the foundation upon which greatness is built. In a world that celebrates instant results and overnight success, repetition often feels undervalued. People want the rewards without the grind, the skill without the practice. But mastery doesn't work that way. It demands patience, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to the process. Each repetition is a small step forward, a building block in the structure of expertise. Repetition isn't just about doing the same thing mindlessly. It's about intentional practice. It's about showing up every day and focusing on improvement. With each repetition, you learn something new, what works, what doesn't, and how to adjust. It's in this consistent effort that progress happens. The small incremental gains may feel insignificant at first, but over time they compound into remarkable results. The road to mastery is often lonely. There's no applause for practicing scales on a piano for hours, perfecting your swing in an empty gym, or rewriting the same sentence a dozen times. But these moments of repetition are where the real work happens. They separate those who are serious about their craft from those who are simply interested. Mastery isn't about talent, it's about persistence. Repetition also teaches humility. No matter how skilled you become, there's always more to learn. Every repetition reminds you that perfection is unattainable, but striving for it is worthwhile. It's through this process that you develop not only your skill, but also your character. You learn patience, resilience, and the value of hard work. The beauty of repetition is that it builds confidence. The more you do something, the more natural it becomes. What once felt awkward or difficult eventually becomes second nature. This confidence isn't just about the specific skill you're mastering. It spills over into every aspect of your life. It shows you that with enough effort, you can overcome challenges and achieve your goals. Repetition may not be exciting, but it's transformative. It's the daily grind, the small, consistent actions that lead to greatness. So, embrace the monotony, celebrate the process. Understand that every repetition, no matter how small, brings you closer to mastery. And when you finally achieve a level of skill that feels effortless, remember the countless hours it took to get there. Mastery isn't a gift, it's a reward for relentless repetition. 7. Volume trumps luck. Luck is a seductive concept. It's easy to look at someone successful and assume they got there because of a lucky break, a chance encounter, or some cosmic alignment. But beneath the surface of every so-called lucky success lies something far more substantial: volume. The sheer number of attempts, efforts, and outputs is what creates the conditions for luck to strike. In truth, luck is not a strategy. Volume is. Volume isn't glamorous. It's the endless drafts that never see the light of day, the countless pitches that go unanswered, the relentless pursuit of improvement that no one notices. It's the artist who paints 100 canvases before finding their masterpiece, the entrepreneur who launches multiple ideas before one succeeds, the athlete who trains daily for years to earn a fleeting moment of glory. The world only sees the final product, the success story. But the foundation is built on repetition, perseverance, and unyielding effort. The beauty of volume is that it removes the need to rely on luck. When you put out enough work, connect with enough people, or take enough chances, you increase the odds of success exponentially. It's not about perfection, it's about showing up consistently. Each attempt may feel small, but together they create momentum. Momentum attracts opportunities, and opportunities often look a lot like luck. Volume also builds resilience. Not every effort will yield results, but every effort teaches you something. Failure becomes a natural part of the process rather than a catastrophic event. You begin to see setbacks as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. The more you do, the more you learn, and the better you get. It's a cycle that feeds itself, driven by action rather than chance. Volume is also liberating. When you focus on creating as much as possible, you stop obsessing over every individual attempt. Not every project has to be perfect. Not every idea has to succeed. This freedom allows you to experiment, take risks, and push boundaries. Over time, you discover what works, what resonates, and what has the potential to thrive. The sheer act of doing becomes its own reward, and the results follow naturally. The myth of luck often leads people to paralysis. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect idea, or the perfect opportunity. But perfection is a mirage, and waiting only leads to stagnation. Volume, on the other hand, is actionable. It's about doing the work, putting yourself out there, and creating your own opportunities. The more you do, the less you need luck, because you've built a foundation that makes success inevitable. Volume is not a quick fix. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to endure discomfort. But it's also empowering. It shifts the narrative from one of helplessness, waiting for luck, to one of control. You may not be able to predict when or how success will come, but by focusing on volume, you ensure that you're always moving toward it. So, stop waiting for luck to strike. Start creating, start doing, and start putting yourself out there. The more you do, the more chances you give yourself to succeed. And when success finally comes, it won't be because of luck. It will be because you showed up over and over again until the odds were in your favor. 8. Exposure. Without action is wasted. Exposure can feel exhilarating. You read an inspiring book, attend a powerful seminar, or watch a life-changing video, and for a moment the possibilities seem endless. You feel energized, motivated, and ready to take on the world. But without action, that exposure amounts to nothing more than a fleeting high. Knowledge, inspiration, and awareness are only as valuable as the steps you take afterward. The world is saturated with information. There's no shortage of advice, lessons, or strategies. But the difference between those who thrive and those who stagnate isn't access to information. It's the willingness to act on it. Exposure without action is like standing in front of a buffet and starving because you never pick up a plate. The opportunity is there, but the outcome depends on your choices. It's easy to fall into the trap of passive consumption. Reading another book, watching another tutorial, or attending another workshop feels productive. And in some ways, it is. Exposure expands your perspective and gives you the tools to grow. But tools are only useful if you pick them up and use them. No amount of exposure can replace the learning that comes from doing. Action is uncomfortable. It requires effort, risk, and vulnerability. It forces you to confront the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Exposure, on the other hand, feels safe. You can immerse yourself in knowledge without putting yourself on the line. But comfort doesn't lead to growth. Growth requires stepping out of the realm of ideas and into the realm of execution. The gap between exposure and action is often filled with excuses. I need to learn more before I start. I'm not ready yet. I'll do it when the time is right. These are comforting lies we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of action. But the truth is, you'll never feel fully ready. There will always be more to learn, and the time will never be perfect. The only way to bridge the gap is to start, even if you feel unprepared. Action also transforms exposure into wisdom. Knowledge on its own is inert. It becomes valuable when applied. When you act on what you've learned, you gain insights that no book, video, or seminar can provide. You discover what works, what doesn't, and what resonates with your unique circumstances. This experiential learning is what drives real progress. Exposure without action also creates a dangerous illusion. It can make you feel like you're growing when, in reality, you're standing still. You accumulate knowledge, but never translate it into results. Over time, this disconnect can lead to frustration and self-doubt. You wonder why you're not making progress, even though you've consumed so much information. The answer is simple. Knowledge without action is powerless. The solution is straightforward, but not easy. For every piece of exposure, identify a specific action you can take. It doesn't have to be big or perfect. It just has to be something. The act of doing, no matter how small, creates momentum. And momentum is what transforms potential into achievement. Exposure is the spark, but action is the flame. Without action, the spark fades, and the opportunity is lost. So, the next time you feel inspired, ask yourself, what will I do with this? Then do it, because in the end, it's not what you know that matters. It's what you do with what you know that defines your life. 9. Being exceptional means being different. Being exceptional is a concept we all admire until it demands something from us. Society loves the idea of greatness, but it often resists the reality of what it takes to be truly exceptional. Why? Because being exceptional inherently means being different, and difference is uncomfortable for most people. When you choose to walk the path of excellence, you automatically separate yourself from the crowd. This isn't always deliberate. It's simply a byproduct of aiming higher, thinking differently, or pursuing goals that others might dismiss as unrealistic. The world around you operates on norms, routines, and conventions, and by striving for something greater, you challenge those established patterns. This makes people uneasy. They might question your motives, criticize your choices, or even try to pull you back into familiar territory, all because your difference reminds them of their own limits. The journey to being exceptional is isolating. The further you go, the less relatable your path becomes to those who haven't taken similar steps. Friends, family, and peers might not understand your choices, and their lack of understanding can manifest as doubt, envy, or even hostility. It's not that they dislike you. It's that your pursuit of something greater forces them to confront their own comfort zones. Most people don't want to look too closely at what they could have done differently. Being different also means accepting that not everyone will cheer for you. The higher you climb, the more visible you become, and with visibility comes scrutiny. Your differences, once celebrated as unique, might become targets for criticism. People might misinterpret your confidence as arrogance, your determination as stubbornness, or your independence as aloofness. This is the price of standing out. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about embracing the unique path you're meant to walk, even if it means walking alone at times. Difference is also what drives progress. The world doesn't need more of the same. It needs new perspectives, bold ideas, and innovative approaches. To be exceptional is to be a disruptor, not necessarily of systems, but of expectations. It's about showing others what's possible when you refuse to settle for mediocrity. And while this can inspire many, it will also threaten those who cling to the status quo. Being different is not a rejection of others, but an acceptance of yourself. It's about recognizing that your path may not align with conventional expectations, and that's okay. The point isn't to seek approval, but to pursue what sets your soul on fire. The irony is, the more you embrace your uniqueness, the more magnetic you become to those who resonate with your vision. Exceptional people don't fit in. They create new spaces where others can thrive, too. But let's be clear, being different isn't easy. It's uncomfortable, lonely, and often misunderstood. It requires resilience, self-awareness, and a willingness to fail publicly. Yet, it's also deeply rewarding. There's a freedom in owning your differences, in refusing to dilute yourself to make others comfortable. When you embrace what sets you apart, you not only step into your own power, you give others permission to do the same. Being exceptional means accepting that you will never fully belong to the crowd. But in doing so, you find something far more valuable: belonging to yourself. The question isn't whether being different is worth it. The question is whether you're willing to pay the price for the extraordinary life that only difference can offer. 10. Growth alienates the familiar. Growth is one of life's most fulfilling pursuits, but it comes with an often overlooked cost: alienation from the familiar. We don't talk about this enough, likely because it's uncomfortable to admit. When you grow, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, you change. And when you change, the world you've known doesn't always change with you. The people, habits, and environments that once felt like home can start to feel foreign. Conversations that used to energize you might now feel shallow. Activities that once brought joy may no longer align with your evolving values. Even relationships that once felt unshakable can begin to falter under the weight of your transformation. This is not because others have failed you, but because growth inherently creates distance between who you were and who you're becoming. This alienation is bittersweet. On one hand, it's a testament to your progress. It's proof that you're evolving, shedding old layers to reveal a more authentic version of yourself. On the other hand, it's painful. Letting go of the familiar feels like losing a part of yourself, even if it no longer serves you. It's natural to grieve the connections, routines, and comforts you leave behind. The truth is, growth disrupts the status quo. When you change, you challenge the unspoken agreements that hold your world together. Maybe you've always been the agreeable one, and now you're setting boundaries. Or perhaps you've been the one who never took risks, and now you're chasing bold dreams. These shifts, while necessary for your growth, can unsettle those who are accustomed to the old you. It's tempting to shrink back into familiarity, to preserve relationships or avoid discomfort. But growth demands courage. The courage to prioritize your evolution over external approval. This doesn't mean abandoning people or turning your back on your past. It means being willing to outgrow what no longer fits, even if it's uncomfortable. The ones who truly support you will adjust. Those who don't may fade away, and that's okay. Growth also requires solitude. As you venture into new territories, you'll find yourself spending more time alone, reflecting, learning, and recalibrating. This solitude isn't loneliness. It's a necessary space for transformation. It's in these moments of quiet that you discover who you are without the noise of the familiar world pulling at you. Alienation from the familiar isn't permanent. Growth often leads to new connections, opportunities, and environments that align with who you're becoming. But to reach those new spaces, you must first let go of what's holding you back. It's like climbing a mountain. The higher you go, the more breathtaking the view, but the fewer people you'll find at the top. The climb is worth it, even if it's lonely at times. The beauty of growth is that it doesn't just change you, it changes the world around you. By daring to evolve, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage to leave the familiar can become a beacon for those who are ready to embark on their own journeys. In this way, growth is not a selfish act, but a ripple effect that expands far beyond you. So, embrace the alienation. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something right. Growth isn't about clinging to the past. It's about stepping boldly into the future, even if it means leaving parts of your old life behind. Trust that what's meant for you will find you on the other side of transformation, and let the rest fall away. 11. Cringe kills relevance. Cringe. It's that unmistakable feeling of second-hand embarrassment, the internal wince you feel when something or someone seems painfully out of place, trying too hard, or disconnected from its context. In a world dominated by social media, hypervisibility, and relentless self-promotion, avoiding cringe has become a survival skill, especially for those who strive to stay relevant. But what does it mean for cringe to kill relevance? It's not just about public embarrassment. It's about losing credibility, connection, and the ability to impact others meaningfully. When someone or something comes across as cringeworthy, it's often because there's a mismatch between intent and execution. It could be the aging rock star trying to fit into trends meant for teenagers, the motivational speaker dishing out recycled clichés without substance, or the company using outdated memes to market their product. Cringe happens when authenticity is sacrificed in the pursuit of approval or attention. The result is a loss of trust, and without trust, relevance evaporates. Relevance isn't about being trendy or pandering to popular opinion. It's about staying connected to the people, ideas, and values that matter most. Cringe undermines this by creating a barrier of discomfort. When your audience cringes, they're not inspired, engaged, or motivated. They're distanced. Even worse, cringe can make your efforts seem desperate, and desperation is the antithesis of influence. It's hard to lead, inspire, or resonate when people are too busy looking away. Staying relevant requires a deep understanding of your strengths, your audience, and the current cultural landscape. But it also requires restraint, the ability to resist the urge to chase every fleeting trend or force yourself into spaces where you don't belong. Relevance comes from standing confidently in your lane, not scrambling to keep up with what's cool. When you try too hard to be what you're not, you risk diluting the very essence of what makes you valuable in the first place. To avoid cringe, start by prioritizing authenticity over applause. Speak and act from a place of genuine confidence, even if it means not everyone will immediately understand or appreciate you. People gravitate toward what feels real, even if it's unconventional. Think about the figures you admire most. They're not the ones who followed every trend, but the ones who carved their own paths, staying true to who they are. Another antidote to cringe is self-awareness. Regularly ask yourself, is this aligned with my values? Am I adding value, or am I just seeking attention? When you approach your actions with intentionality, you're less likely to fall into the trap of trying too hard. Self-awareness also helps you recognize when it's time to adapt or step back, ensuring that you evolve gracefully rather than clinging desperately to outdated methods. Cringe may kill relevance, But relevance doesn't have to be a constant chase. It's not about always being in the spotlight, but about knowing when and how to step into it. It's about offering something meaningful, even if it's not flashy or trendy. The more you stay grounded in your purpose and connected to what matters, the less you'll have to worry about irrelevance creeping in. 12. True authenticity is rare. Authenticity has become a buzzword, but true authenticity remains a rare commodity. In a world where image often takes precedence over substance, where social media rewards filters and facades, being genuinely yourself is both revolutionary and challenging. True authenticity is rare because it requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to stand apart from the crowd, qualities that are often in short supply. Why is authenticity so elusive? For one, societal pressure constantly nudges us to conform. From a young age, we're taught to fit in, to avoid rocking the boat, and to suppress the parts of ourselves that don't align with the expectations of others. As we grow older, these patterns solidify, making it harder to break free from the masks we've worn for so long. Authenticity demands that we strip away those layers, but doing so can feel risky. After all, what if the world rejects the unfiltered version of us? Another reason authenticity is rare is that it's uncomfortable. To be authentic, you must confront your fears, insecurities, and imperfections. You must own your quirks, flaws, and contradictions without apology. This level of self-acceptance is difficult in a culture that thrives on comparison and judgment. It's much easier to present a curated version of yourself that aligns with what others expect, even if it means living out of sync with your true self. True authenticity also challenges the status quo. When you embrace who you are, you may find that not everyone approves. Your honesty can make others uncomfortable because it reminds them of their own unexamined lives. This is why authentic people are often met with resistance or criticism, but it's also why they're so impactful. They shine a light on what's possible when you choose to live boldly and unapologetically. Despite its challenges, authenticity is worth pursuing. It's liberating to show up as you are, without pretenses or performances. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation and allows you to focus on what truly matters. Authenticity also fosters deeper, more meaningful connections. When you're genuine, you attract people who resonate with your true self rather than those drawn to a facade. This creates relationships built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Living authentically doesn't mean ignoring feedback or refusing to grow. It means aligning your actions with your values, even as those values evolve. It means staying true to your core while remaining open to new perspectives. Authenticity is not static. It's a dynamic process of discovering and expressing who you are at each stage of life. True authenticity may be rare, but it's also magnetic. In a world full of noise, the authentic voice stands out. It resonates because it's real, unpolished, and unafraid. And while authenticity might not win you universal approval, it will earn you something far more valuable: the respect of those who matter, and the peace that comes from living in alignment with your truth. Choosing authenticity is not always easy, but it's always worth it. It's a journey of self-discovery, a commitment to integrity, and an act of courage. And in a world desperate for something real, your authenticity is your greatest gift. Don't squander it by trying to be someone else. Own your story, embrace your flaws, and dare to live as the rare and irreplaceable person you truly are. 13. Copycats can't compete. Imitation may be the sincerest form of flattery, but when it comes to success and personal growth, it's a shortcut to nowhere. Copycats can't compete because they're chasing shadows, trying to replicate someone else's originality instead of cultivating their own. It's an easy trap to fall into in a world where inspiration is only a click away. But trying to mimic someone else's formula for success ultimately leads to mediocrity, not mastery. When you copy, you're always a step behind. The person or idea you're trying to emulate is moving forward, evolving and growing while you're busy duplicating their past achievements. Copying might get you a momentary glance, but it won't sustain attention or respect. Originality is what captivates people, and that requires courage, creativity, and a willingness to take risks that copying simply doesn't allow. Being a copycat is also exhausting. You're constantly looking outward, trying to predict trends, anticipate moves, and align yourself with what's already been done. It's a reactive way of living that leaves little room for innovation or personal expression. In contrast, true competitors, the ones who stand out and succeed, focus inward. They're guided by their own vision, values and strengths, not by what others are doing. This doesn't mean you can't draw inspiration from others. Everyone learns and grows by observing those who came before them. But there's a difference between being inspired and being derivative. Inspiration fuels your own ideas and actions, while imitation confines you to someone else's. The former expands your potential, the latter limits it. Authenticity is the antidote to copycatting. When you embrace who you are and what you uniquely bring to the table, you create something that no one else can replicate. Your perspective, experiences and talents are one of a kind, and they're your greatest competitive advantage. But to harness them, you need to stop looking sideways at what others are doing and start focusing on your own path. Copying is often rooted in fear, the fear of failing, of not being good enough, or of being overlooked. It feels safer to follow a proven formula than to venture into uncharted territory. But safety doesn't breed greatness. The most successful people are those who dare to carve their own paths, even when it's uncertain or unpopular. They understand that true competition isn't about being better than someone else. It's about being the best version of themselves. So, if you find yourself tempted to mimic someone else's success, pause and ask yourself why. Is it because you admire their journey, or because you're afraid to trust your own? If it's the latter, it's time to shift your mindset. Instead of trying to compete by copying, compete by creating. Find your voice, take your stand, and let your work speak for itself. That's how you rise above the noise and become truly competitive, not by chasing others, but by challenging yourself. 14. Perfectionism. Without action is excuse-making. Perfectionism often masquerades as a noble pursuit, but when it's not paired with action, it becomes a convenient excuse for inaction. The desire to make everything flawless can paralyze you, keeping you stuck in a cycle of endless planning, tweaking, and second-guessing. Instead of moving forward, you end up spinning your wheels, convincing yourself that you're not ready, that it's not the right time, or that you need just one more tweak before you can start. The truth is, perfectionism without action is nothing more than procrastination in disguise. The pursuit of perfection can be seductive. It promises validation, success, and the approval of others. But in reality, it's a mirage. Perfection doesn't exist, and chasing it often leads to frustration, self-doubt, and missed opportunities. The irony is that most of the things you perceive as imperfect won't even matter to the people you're trying to impress. They care far more about authenticity effort and results than about whether every detail is flawless. Perfectionism can also be a shield, a way to avoid the vulnerability that comes with putting yourself out there. By insisting that something isn't ready, you avoid the risk of failure, criticism, or rejection. But in doing so, you also avoid the possibility of success. Action, no matter how imperfect, is what drives growth, learning, and progress. Without it, perfectionism becomes a roadblock, not a motivator. To break free from the grip of perfectionism, you need to reframe your mindset. Start by focusing on progress rather than perfection. Every step forward, no matter how small or messy, brings you closer to your goals. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, embrace the power of now. Take action, learn from your mistakes, and refine as you go. The most successful people are those who are willing to start before they're ready, knowing that perfection is a process, not a prerequisite. Another way to overcome perfectionism is to set realistic expectations. Understand that flaws are not failures. They're opportunities to improve and grow. By accepting imperfection as part of the journey, you free yourself from the pressure to get everything right the first time. This doesn't mean settling for mediocrity. It means recognizing that excellence is achieved through consistent effort, not by waiting for some unattainable ideal. Perfectionism without action also robs you of the joy of creation. When you're fixated on flaws, you miss the beauty of the process, the thrill of experimenting, the satisfaction of completing something, and the lessons learned along the way. Action brings clarity, momentum, and fulfillment in a way that perfectionism never can. Ultimately, the choice is yours. You can let perfectionism keep you stuck, or you can take imperfect action and move forward. The latter requires courage, but it also leads to growth, discovery, and success. So, the next time you catch yourself waiting for everything to be perfect, remind yourself that the only perfect time to start is now. Take the leap, embrace the messiness, and trust that each step will bring you closer to where you want to be. 15. Sacrifices are inevitable for greatness. Greatness doesn't come free. It demands sacrifices, and these sacrifices often come in forms that are neither easy nor convenient. To achieve something extraordinary, you must give up something else. It's an ironclad rule of life that separates those who dream of greatness from those who actually attain it. Yet, sacrifices are not just costs, they are choices. They are deliberate, conscious decisions to let go of what is comfortable and familiar in pursuit of something bigger and more meaningful. The idea of sacrifice often conjures images of suffering or loss, and yes, there is a sting to giving up things you value, whether it's time, comfort, relationships, or financial security. But sacrifice is also an investment. It's the price you pay to grow, to stretch your limits, and to become the person you aspire to be. No one reaches the pinnacle of their potential without shedding some weight along the way. Sacrifices, in this sense, are not penalties. They are necessary exchanges that pave the road to success. Every great achiever, from artists and athletes to entrepreneurs and scientists, has a story of sacrifice. They sacrificed their free time to practice their craft, their comfort to endure hardship, and sometimes even their personal lives to stay focused on their mission. These sacrifices weren't easy, and they often came with moments of doubt and struggle, but they were essential. Without them, greatness would have remained out of reach, a mere fantasy instead of a tangible reality. Sacrifice also teaches discipline and clarity. When you give up something, you're forced to evaluate what truly matters to you. It sharpens your focus and ensures that your energy and resources are directed toward your highest priorities. Sacrifice eliminates distractions and narrows your path, making it easier to move forward with purpose. This is why greatness isn't just about what you gain, it's also about what you're willing to leave behind. But sacrifices are not infinite. They need to be intentional and aligned with your goals. Sacrificing sleep, health, or your integrity in the name of success is not true sacrifice. It's self-destruction. Real sacrifices are about letting go of things that hold you back, not about compromising the very foundation of who you are. This distinction is crucial because it ensures that your pursuit of greatness doesn't come at the expense of your humanity. In the end, sacrifice is a choice, not a burden. It's a declaration of your commitment to something greater than yourself. It's a testament to your willingness to endure discomfort and challenge for the sake of growth. And while sacrifices may seem painful in the moment, they often lead to rewards that far outweigh the costs. Every step toward greatness is built on sacrifices, but each sacrifice brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. 16. Periods of imbalance are necessary. Balance is a beautiful concept, but it's not always realistic, especially when you're striving for greatness. Periods of imbalance are not only inevitable, they're necessary. To achieve anything remarkable, you must pour your energy, focus, and resources into it, often at the expense of other areas of your life. While the idea of a perfectly balanced life is comforting, it's often incompatible with the demands of high achievement. Imbalance is what allows you to make significant progress. When you're fully immersed in a project, goal, or passion, your attention is singular. You're not trying to juggle everything equally. You're prioritizing what matters most in that moment. This laser focus is what drives breakthroughs and innovation. It's what turns effort into results and dreams into realities. Without periods of imbalance, you risk spreading yourself too thin and never achieving the depth or mastery required for greatness. Think of imbalance as a season rather than a permanent state. There will be times when work consumes you, when your passion demands long hours, or when personal growth takes precedence over social obligations. These periods are intense and all-consuming, but they are also temporary. They are the seasons of planting seeds, where you put in the effort and make the sacrifices needed to build a foundation for success. Balance can return later, once the groundwork has been laid. Periods of imbalance also teach resilience and adaptability. When you stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone, you discover strengths and capabilities you didn't know you had. You learn to manage stress, navigate uncertainty, and push through exhaustion. These lessons are invaluable because they prepare you for future challenges and make you more effective in all areas of life. But imbalance must be managed wisely. It's easy to let temporary periods of intense focus become chronic neglect of other aspects of your life. Health, relationships, and personal well-being are not expendable. They're essential pillars that support your ability to succeed. The key is to recognize when imbalance is serving your goals and when it's becoming detrimental. Self-awareness is crucial here, as it allows you to recalibrate and restore balance when necessary. The myth of a perfectly balanced life often holds people back. It creates an unrealistic expectation that you can give equal attention to everything all the time. But greatness doesn't work that way. It requires focus, intensity, and, yes, imbalance. The truth is, balance is not about equal distribution. It's about appropriate distribution. It's about giving you all, to what matters most in the moment, while ensuring that the scales don't tip so far that they become irreparable. Periods of imbalance are not failures. They're signs of commitment and drive. They show that you're willing to go all in for what you believe in, and while they may be challenging, they are also deeply rewarding. They remind you that life is not static, but dynamic, a constant ebb and flow that requires you to adapt and prioritize. Embrace the imbalance, but do so with intention and purpose. In the end, it's not about living a perfectly balanced life. It's about living a meaningful one. 17. You must accept your own peculiarities. True self-acceptance begins with recognizing and embracing your own peculiarities, the unique traits, quirks, and idiosyncrasies that make you who you are. Society often pressures us to conform, to fit neatly into predefined molds that dictate how we should look, think, and behave. But the path to authenticity lies in defying these expectations and fully owning the aspects of ourselves that make us different. Your peculiarities are not flaws, they are features. They are the building blocks of your individuality and the source of your greatest strengths. Yet, many people struggle with this idea. They view their differences as liabilities, things to hide or change to gain approval from others. This fear of standing out, of being judged, keeps them from reaching their full potential. But here's the truth. Conformity might keep you safe, but it will never make you extraordinary. Accepting your peculiarities is an act of courage. It requires you to face the parts of yourself that you may have been taught to reject. Maybe you're overly meticulous, deeply introspective, or have an unusual sense of humor. Whatever it is, these traits are part of your unique wiring, and they often hold the key to your talents and passions. When you suppress them, you rob yourself of the opportunity to fully express who you are. Self-acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing or improving. It means you recognize that your peculiarities are part of your foundation, not obstacles to overcome. They are starting points for self-awareness and growth. When you embrace them, you gain the freedom to refine them, turning what others might see as quirks into your greatest assets. The philosophy of Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control. You can't control how others perceive your peculiarities, but you can control how you perceive and present them. When you stop seeking validation from external sources, you liberate yourself from the fear of judgment. Instead, you learn to trust in your own unique value. Accepting your peculiarities also fosters deeper connections with others. When you're unapologetically yourself, you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, not for the mask you wear. Authenticity creates bonds that are far stronger than any relationship built on pretense or conformity. The journey to self-acceptance is not always easy. It's natural to feel vulnerable when you allow your true self to be seen. But this vulnerability is also a source of strength. It shows that you are confident enough to stand in your truth, no matter how unconventional it may be. Over time, you'll find that accepting your peculiarities is not just liberating, it's empowering. Life is too short to live in denial of who you are. Your peculiarities are gifts, not burdens. They are what set you apart in a world that often values sameness over individuality. Embrace them fully, and you'll discover a sense of freedom and self-worth that no amount of external validation can provide. 18. Regret comes from inaction. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, and it almost always stems from inaction. It's not the mistakes we make that haunt us the most. It's the opportunities we let slip by, the chances we didn't take, and the dreams we left unexplored. Inaction is a silent thief, robbing us of experiences, growth, and the satisfaction of knowing we tried, even if we failed. The pain of regret is unique because it's rooted in the what-ifs of life. What if you had pursued that dream? What if you had spoken up when it mattered? These unanswered questions linger, creating a void that no amount of rationalization can fill. Unlike the pain of failure, which fades with time and often comes with valuable lessons, the pain of inaction tends to grow, feeding on the unresolved possibilities of the past. Fear is often the root cause of inaction. Fear of failure, rejection, or stepping outside of your comfort zone can paralyze you, convincing you that staying still is safer than taking a risk. But this fear is deceptive. While action might lead to discomfort or setbacks, inaction guarantees stagnation. It keeps you stuck in a state of limbo where nothing changes and nothing improves. Taking action requires courage, but it also requires perspective. Life is finite, and every moment of hesitation is a moment you can never get back. When you frame your decisions in the context of time, it becomes clear that inaction is not a neutral choice. It's a decision to let life pass you by. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to take that first step, and the more opportunities you lose. The antidote to regret is not perfection, but effort. It's about showing up, trying, and giving your best, even when the outcome is uncertain. Action, no matter how small, is a declaration of intent. It's a way of telling yourself and the world that you're willing to take responsibility for your life. And even if things don't go as planned, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing you gave it your all. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control. You can't control the outcome of your actions, but you can control whether or not you take them. This mindset shifts your focus from fear of failure to the empowerment of choice. When you act with intention and purpose, you take ownership of your life, reducing the chances of future regret. Regret is not just about missed opportunities. It's also about the erosion of self-trust. Every time you fail to act, you reinforce the belief that you're incapable of taking risks or making decisions. Over time, this can chip away at your confidence, making it even harder to take action in the future. Breaking this cycle starts with a single step, one act of courage that reaffirms your ability to choose and create change. In the end, regret is a teacher, but it's a harsh one. It reminds us of the value of action and the cost of hesitation. The only way to avoid its sting is to embrace a life of intentionality, where you prioritize doing over doubting and trying over waiting. Action won't always lead to success, but it will always lead to growth. And growth, even when it's uncomfortable, is far better than the suffocating weight of inaction. 19. Courage is overcoming fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to move forward in spite of it. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, risk, and danger. It's hardwired into our biology as a means of protection. But when fear is allowed to dominate, it becomes a prison, keeping us from exploring our potential, taking risks, and living fully. Courage is the key to breaking free from that prison. Courage begins with acknowledgement. It's not about pretending fear doesn't exist or trying to suppress it. Instead, it's about recognizing fear for what it is, a signal, not a command. Fear tells you there's something at stake, but it doesn't dictate how you should respond. This separation between feeling fear and acting on it is where courage comes into play. Overcoming fear requires perspective. Fear often grows out of proportion to the actual risk or challenge. It feeds on uncertainty and thrives in the shadows of what-if scenarios. Courage, on the other hand, brings clarity. It asks, what's the worst that could happen? And, is that really as catastrophic as I imagine? More often than not, the answers reveal that fear's bark is far worse than its bite. Stoicism offers a powerful framework for courage by emphasizing the dichotomy of control. Focus on what you can control and accept what you cannot. Fear often stems from worrying about outcomes that are beyond your influence. When you shift your focus to the actions you can take, fear loses much of its power. Courage grows when you take those actions, no matter how small, and prove to yourself that you are capable of facing challenges. Courage is not a one-time event. It's a habit. It's built through repeated acts of bravery, each one reinforcing the belief that you can handle adversity. These acts don't have to be monumental. Sometimes courage is simply speaking up when it's easier to stay silent, trying something new despite the risk of failure, or admitting you don't have all the answers. Each time you step outside your comfort zone, you strengthen your ability to face fear and keep moving forward. Fear thrives on avoidance, but avoidance comes at a cost. It limits your experiences, stifles your growth, and leaves you with regret. Courage, by contrast, expands your world. It allows you to face the unknown, take risks, and discover strengths you didn't know you had. It doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees growth, and that's a reward worth pursuing. Courage also inspires others. When you act bravely, you give permission for those around you to do the same. You become a beacon of possibility, showing that fear is not an insurmountable obstacle, but a challenge to be met. This ripple effect of courage creates a culture of resilience and determination, where fear no longer dictates the terms of engagement. Ultimately, courage is about choosing action over paralysis, growth over stagnation, and authenticity over safety. It's about living with intention and refusing to let fear dictate your life. Courage is not about being fearless. It's about being willing to face fear and move forward anyway. That willingness is what transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary journeys. Valuing others' opinions leads to mediocrity. There's a subtle but powerful trap that many people fall into, the desire for approval. It starts innocently enough, a kind word here, a nod of recognition there. But over time, this need for validation can grow into an insidious force, dictating decisions and stifling individuality. Valuing others' opinions too much doesn't just limit your potential. It leads straight to mediocrity. When you prioritize what others think over what you believe, you hand over control of your life. Decisions that should be guided by your values and aspirations become dictated by external expectations. This might feel safe in the moment, but it's a dangerous compromise. Living for the approval of others means you're constantly chasing a moving target, and no matter how much you conform, you'll never please everyone. Mediocrity thrives in environments where individuality is suppressed. By valuing others' opinions too highly, you dilute your authenticity, blending into a crowd instead of standing out. This fear of being judged or rejected keeps you from taking risks, pursuing bold ideas, or expressing your true self. The result is a life that feels safe but lacks fulfillment, a life of untapped potential. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and others' opinions are firmly outside that realm. You have no power over how people perceive you or what they think of your choices. Trying to control this is a futile exercise that only drains your energy and peace of mind. Instead, Stoicism encourages you to live in alignment with your principles, trusting that your actions will speak for themselves. Valuing others' opinions also makes you vulnerable to manipulation. People who seek to control or influence you will exploit your need for approval, steering you in directions that serve their interests, not yours. This erodes your autonomy and leaves you disconnected from your true desires and goals. Independence, both of thought and action, is the antidote to this trap. Breaking free from the approval cycle starts with self-awareness. Reflect on whose opinions you're prioritizing and why. Are these people aligned with your values? Do they genuinely have your best interests at heart? More often than not, the opinions you're bending over backward to accommodate come from individuals who have no stake in your well-being or success. Recognizing this can be liberating. Once you let go of the need for approval, you gain the freedom to take risks, make mistakes, and chart your own course. This doesn't mean you should ignore all feedback or dismiss constructive criticism. It means you should discern whose opinions truly matter and filter them through the lens of your own values and goals. Living authentically is not about being indifferent to others. It's about being true to yourself. When you stop valuing others' opinions over your own judgment, you reclaim your power. You make decisions based on what's right for you, not what's expected. This shift may not make you universally liked, but it will make you respected and, more importantly, fulfilled. The pursuit of approval is a mirage. It promises satisfaction but delivers mediocrity. True fulfillment comes from within, from living a life that reflects your values, aspirations, and unique identity. Stop letting others' opinions dictate your path. Be bold, be different, and remember, the only approval you truly need is your own. 21. Imperfect action. Beats. Paralysis. One of the greatest barriers to progress is the belief that everything must be perfect before you begin. This mindset leads to inaction as you wait for the right time, the ideal circumstances, or the perfect plan. The problem with this approach is that perfection is an illusion. In reality, waiting for perfection often results in stagnation, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. Imperfect action, on the other hand, is a catalyst for growth and transformation. Imperfect action is not about settling for mediocrity. It's about recognizing that action, even when it's not flawless, propels you forward. Every step, no matter how small or imperfect, creates momentum. This momentum builds confidence, teaches valuable lessons, and clarifies the path ahead. In contrast, paralysis, whether caused by fear, doubt, or overthinking, keeps you stuck in place, robbing you of progress. The beauty of imperfect action is that it shifts your focus from results to effort. Instead of obsessing over whether your work meets some unattainable standard, you prioritize doing the work itself. This approach aligns with the Stoic principle of focusing on what's within your control. You may not control the outcome, but you do control whether or not you take action. By embracing imperfection, you free yourself from the burden of unrealistic expectations and open the door to growth. Perfectionism is often rooted in fear of failure, criticism, or not measuring up. But this fear is counterproductive. Avoiding action to escape imperfection is itself a form of failure, one that guarantees no progress. Imperfect action, on the other hand, acknowledges fear, but refuses to let it dictate your choices. It's a declaration that progress matters more than perfection. Taking imperfect action also fosters resilience. When you act despite uncertainty or flaws, you learn to adapt and overcome challenges. Each misstep becomes a valuable lesson, guiding you toward improvement. You develop a mindset of growth, where mistakes are not disasters, but stepping stones. This resilience is crucial for long-term success, as it enables you to navigate setbacks without losing momentum. Imperfect action doesn't mean acting recklessly or without thought. It means accepting that you don't need to have everything figured out before you start. You can refine your approach as you go, learning from experience and making adjustments along the way. This iterative process often leads to better results than a meticulously planned but unexecuted strategy. The most successful people in any field understand the value of imperfect action. They start before they're ready, knowing that action creates clarity and opportunities that planning alone cannot. They embrace the messy, unpredictable nature of growth, trusting that their efforts will lead to progress. Their willingness to act sets them apart from those who are paralyzed by the pursuit of perfection. In the end, action, however imperfect, trumps inaction every time. It's better to take a flawed step forward than to remain frozen in place. Progress, after all, is the accumulation of small, imperfect actions over time. Each one builds on the last, leading you closer to your goals. So, take that leap. Write the messy first draft. Start the project you've been putting off. Say yes to opportunities, even if you feel unprepared. Imperfect action is the antidote to paralysis, and it's the path to growth. 22. Trade-offs. Define priorities. Life is a series of trade-offs. Every decision you make involves choosing one option over another, prioritizing one thing at the expense of something else. This is an unavoidable reality, yet many people resist it. They try to have it all, spreading themselves too thin, or avoid making decisions altogether, hoping to escape the consequences of trade-offs. But the truth is, trade-offs are not obstacles to be avoided. They are essential to living a focused, intentional life. Trade-offs force you to confront what truly matters to you. When you choose to spend time on one activity, you're implicitly deciding that it's more important than other ways you could have spent that time. This might feel limiting, but it's also empowering. It means you have the ability to shape your life according to your values and priorities. The key is to make these trade-offs consciously, rather than letting them be dictated by circumstances or others' expectations. The Stoic principle of prioritizing what's within your control is particularly relevant here. You can't control the fact that time, energy, and resources are finite, but you can control how you allocate them. Trade-offs are a reflection of your values. When you choose to focus on your career, you might trade off some leisure time. When you prioritize family, you may need to let go of certain professional ambitions. These choices are not about right or wrong. They're about what aligns with your goals and principles. Avoiding trade-offs leads to mediocrity. Trying to do everything often results in doing nothing well. It spreads your energy and attention so thin that you're unable to make meaningful progress in any area. By contrast, embracing trade-offs allows you to concentrate your efforts where they matter most. It's a form of discipline, requiring you to say no to distractions and yes to what truly deserves your time and focus. Trade-offs also teach you the value of saying no. Every yes carries an implicit no. When you agree to one commitment, you're declining the opportunity to use that time or energy elsewhere. Learning to say no is a skill that protects your priorities and prevents you from being overwhelmed. It's an act of self-respect, ensuring that your resources are spent on what aligns with your goals, rather than being scattered across obligations that don't serve you. The concept of trade-offs extends beyond time and energy. It applies to relationships, career choices, financial decisions, and even personal growth. For example, choosing to build a new skill might mean sacrificing immediate comfort for long-term rewards. Investing in a meaningful relationship might require letting go of superficial connections. These trade-offs may be challenging, but they are necessary for creating a life that reflects your values and aspirations. Trade-offs also highlight the importance of gratitude. When you consciously choose one path over another, you appreciate the value of what you've chosen. Instead of lamenting what you've given up, you focus on the benefits of your decision. This mindset fosters contentment and prevents you from falling into the trap of constantly second-guessing your choices. In embracing trade-offs, you accept the reality of limits and use them to your advantage. You recognize that life is not about having it all. It's about having what matters most. By making intentional trade-offs, you create a life that aligns with your values, goals, and priorities. This clarity brings peace, focus, and a sense of purpose. Trade-offs are not sacrifices. They are investments in the life you want to build. 23. Success demands nonconformity. Success is not a path paved with the approval of others. It requires stepping away from the crowd, challenging norms, and forging a unique identity. Nonconformity is not rebellion for its own sake. It's the deliberate decision to follow your own vision, even when it deviates from societal expectations. This principle is both empowering and isolating, as the road to success often leaves little room for the comfort of conformity. To achieve something extraordinary, you must be willing to think differently, act differently, and often stand alone. This is not because the world conspires against success, but because most people settle for mediocrity. Conformity offers safety, familiarity, and acceptance, but it also limits growth. The greatest achievements in history, whether in art, science, or leadership, came from those who dared to defy conventional wisdom. Nonconformity requires courage. It's not easy to reject the paths that others deem safe or sensible. You'll face skepticism, criticism, and sometimes outright hostility. People fear what they don't understand, and your willingness to diverge from the norm can make others uncomfortable. But this discomfort is a necessary part of the process. If you aim to fit in with everyone, you dilute your unique strengths and compromise your potential. Success through nonconformity also demands self-awareness. It's not about rejecting every convention. It's about discerning which rules to follow and which to break. This discernment comes from understanding your values, goals, and abilities. It's about having the clarity to see where the crowd is wrong and the conviction to act on that insight. Nonconformity doesn't mean isolation. While you may walk a different path, you can find like-minded individuals who share your vision or support your journey. Surrounding yourself with such people provides encouragement and inspiration, helping you navigate the challenges of going against the grain. These relationships are built on mutual respect, not conformity, and they strengthen your resolve to stay true to your purpose. The rewards of nonconformity are profound. When you embrace your unique perspective, you unlock creativity, innovation, and resilience. You approach problems with fresh eyes and solutions that others might overlook. You develop the ability to adapt and thrive in changing circumstances because you're not bound by rigid expectations. Most importantly, you achieve success on your own terms, rather than living someone else's idea of what success should look like. Nonconformity is not without its risks. It requires careful planning, persistence, and a willingness to learn from failure. But these risks are outweighed by the rewards of living authentically and achieving something truly remarkable. Success demands that you leave the comfort of conformity behind and embrace the bold, uncertain path of your unique vision. 24. Over-optimization can harm more than help. In the pursuit of excellence, there's a dangerous temptation to optimize every aspect of life. Optimization promises efficiency, productivity, and perfection, but when taken to extremes, it can do more harm than good. Over-optimization is the relentless drive to squeeze maximum output from every moment, leaving no room for rest, spontaneity, or imperfection. It's a recipe for burnout, dissatisfaction, and a life devoid of balance. At its core, optimization is about improvement. It's the process of refining systems, habits, and strategies to achieve better results. But when optimization becomes obsessive, it shifts from being a tool to being a trap. Instead of enhancing life, it reduces it to a rigid framework of rules and routines. This rigidity stifles creativity, drains energy, and creates unnecessary stress. Over-optimization often stems from the fear of falling short. The belief that every moment must be productive or every action must yield a measurable result drives people to micromanage their lives. This mindset leaves little room for rest or reflection, which are essential for long-term growth. Ironically, the pursuit of peak efficiency can lead to diminished performance as fatigue and frustration set in. Life is inherently unpredictable, and over-optimization ignores this reality. It assumes that every variable can be controlled, every outcome predicted. But this is not how the world works. Unexpected challenges and opportunities require flexibility and adaptability, qualities that over-optimization suppresses. When you cling too tightly to a perfect plan, you risk missing the beauty and growth that come from embracing the unexpected. The Stoics understood the importance of balance. They advocated for moderation and the acceptance of imperfection as natural parts of life. Over-optimization rejects this wisdom, striving for an ideal that doesn't exist. This pursuit often leads to diminishing returns, where the effort required to achieve marginal improvements outweighs the benefits. Over-optimization also affects relationships. When every interaction is treated as a transaction, or every moment with loved ones is analyzed for its value, genuine connection suffers. Life's richest experiences, laughter, love, and shared memories, don't fit neatly into a framework of optimization. They require presence, vulnerability, and a willingness to let go of control. The antidote to over-optimization is intentional imperfection. This doesn't mean abandoning goals or standards. It means recognizing when good enough is truly good enough. It's about allowing room for rest, creativity, and joy. It's about valuing the journey as much as the destination, understanding that some of life's most meaningful moments come from unexpected detours. True success lies in balance. Optimize where it matters, but leave space for life's natural rhythms. Accept that not everything can or should be perfected. Embrace the messiness of growth, the unpredictability of relationships, and the serendipity of the unexpected. Over-optimization may promise a perfect life, but it's imperfection that makes life worth living. 25. True passion often fades when turned into work. Passion is often romanticized as the key to happiness and success, but the harsh truth is that passion can lose its magic when transformed into work. The moment something you love becomes a source of income, deadlines, and pressure, it risks shifting from a source of joy to a source of stress. This is not to say that working on something you're passionate about is a mistake, but it's important to recognize the realities that come with it. Turning passion into work introduces constraints. You're no longer creating solely for your enjoyment. You're creating to meet expectations, satisfy clients, or appeal to an audience. This shift can stifle the freedom and spontaneity that made the activity so fulfilling in the first place. Instead of being an escape or a form of self-expression, your passion becomes entangled with financial and professional obligations. When passion becomes work, it often brings with it the need to compromise. Perhaps you loved painting abstract art, but your clients want landscapes. Maybe you started writing for the pure joy of storytelling, but now you're required to adhere to rigid formats or market trends. These compromises can drain the joy and authenticity from your passion, leaving you feeling disconnected from the very thing you once loved. Burnout is another risk. Passion-driven work often demands long hours and intense dedication. The problem is that passion alone is not an infinite fuel source. When work becomes all-consuming, the excitement that initially drove you can be replaced by exhaustion and resentment. It's easy to forget that even the most passionate individuals need balance and rest to sustain their enthusiasm. One of the most disheartening aspects of turning passion into work is the potential for external validation to replace internal fulfillment. When you tie your passion to income or recognition, your sense of worth becomes contingent on approval from others. This external pressure can lead to self-doubt and a constant need to prove your value, eroding the intrinsic joy that passion once brought. The solution is not to avoid pursuing your passion professionally, but to approach it with eyes wide open. Set boundaries to protect the aspects of your passion that bring you joy. Create time for projects that are purely for you, free from the pressures of deadlines or expectations. Learn to separate your identity from your work, so your self-worth isn't entirely tied to your performance. Remember, passion is a fire that needs careful tending. It's easy to let the demands of work smother it, but with mindfulness and balance, you can keep the flame alive. Cherish the moments when your passion brings you joy, even if they're fleeting, and recognize that sometimes it's okay for passion to remain a hobby rather than a profession. Not every love needs to become a career, and that's perfectly fine. 26. Mastery requires repetitive, unglamorous effort. Mastery is often viewed as an enviable achievement, a pinnacle of skill and success. What's less discussed is the path to mastery, a journey marked by relentless, repetitive, and often unglamorous effort. The allure of mastery lies in its results, but the reality of getting there is far less appealing to most. Repetition is the foundation of mastery. Whether it's practicing scales on a piano, drilling moves in a sport, or revising the same piece of writing over and over, progress is built through consistent repetition. There's no shortcut, no secret technique that bypasses the grind. Mastery demands that you show up day after day, even when the work feels monotonous or uninspired. This repetitive effort isn't just about building skill. It's about developing discipline and resilience. It's easy to be enthusiastic at the beginning, when everything is new and exciting, but true mastery requires perseverance when that initial excitement fades. It's about pushing through the plateaus, those times when progress seems invisible and the work feels like a slog. Mastery also demands humility. The process will expose your weaknesses and force you to confront your limitations. It's humbling to fail repeatedly, to make the same mistakes, to realize how far you still have to go. But this humility is crucial. It keeps you grounded and focused on growth, rather than becoming complacent or overconfident. There's a paradox in mastery. The more you know, the more you realize how much there is to learn. This awareness can be daunting, but it's also what keeps masters striving for improvement. They understand that mastery is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. There will always be new challenges, new levels of skill to achieve, and new perspectives to explore. The unglamorous nature of the effort often discourages people from pursuing mastery. In a world that celebrates quick wins and instant gratification, the slow, deliberate process of mastery can feel out of place. But it's precisely this process that makes mastery so valuable. The effort you put in gives your achievements meaning and depth. The rewards of mastery are profound. Beyond the external recognition or accolades, there's the deep satisfaction of knowing you've honed your craft to a high level. There's the confidence that comes from knowing you can tackle challenges and solve problems with skill and precision. And there's the joy of being fully immersed in something you love, even when the work is hard. Mastery requires embracing the grind, finding meaning in the repetition, and staying committed even when progress feels elusive. It's not glamorous, but it's real, and in the end, it's worth every ounce of effort. 27. Others' opinions stem from their insecurities. Much of what people say about you has less to do with you and more to do with them. Human beings are intricate mosaics of their experiences, beliefs, and insecurities, and these elements color their perceptions and opinions. Recognizing this truth can free you from the weight of caring excessively about what others think. Opinions often act as mirrors, reflecting the fears, desires, and unresolved issues of the person expressing them. When someone criticizes you harshly, it might stem from their own insecurities rather than a genuine evaluation of your actions or character. A colleague who undermines your work may feel threatened by your success. A friend who dismisses your achievements may be grappling with their own feelings of inadequacy. These reactions say more about them than they do about you. It's easy to internalize negative opinions, especially when they come from people you respect or care about. However, doing so gives their insecurities undue influence over your self-worth. Remember, their perspective is shaped by their unique biases and emotional baggage, not an objective truth about you. What they see is filtered through their own struggles, blind spots, and limitations. Even positive opinions can be tainted by insecurities. Someone who excessively praises you might be projecting their own unfulfilled desires or looking to secure your approval for their benefit. While compliments can feel good, grounding your self-esteem in external validation is a precarious choice. Opinions, whether positive or negative, are fleeting and unreliable sources of self-worth. The Stoics taught that what truly matters is how you perceive yourself, not how others perceive you. You have no control over what others think or say, but you have complete control over your response. By grounding your sense of self in your own values and actions, you can maintain inner peace regardless of external opinions. Letting go of the need to be liked or understood by everyone is liberating. It allows you to live authentically, free from the constant pressure of pleasing others. This doesn't mean disregarding all feedback. Constructive criticism can be valuable. But learn to discern between feedback that helps you grow and opinions that simply reflect the speaker's insecurities. When you encounter judgment or criticism, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, does this opinion align with my values and goals? Is it constructive, or does it stem from the other person's insecurities? If it's the latter, let it go. Don't let their internal struggles become your burden. Understanding that others' opinions are often projections can foster compassion too. Instead of reacting defensively, you can respond with empathy, recognizing that their negativity may come from a place of pain or fear. This perspective not only strengthens your emotional resilience, but also helps you build healthier relationships. Ultimately, the opinions of others are like the weather, constantly changing, often unpredictable, and entirely beyond your control. You wouldn't let a rainy day ruin your inner calm, so why let someone's opinion? Focus on what you can control, living a life aligned with your values, treating others with kindness, and maintaining your integrity. The rest is noise. 28. Insults. Only hurt if you believe them. An insult is powerless unless you grant it the ability to harm you. This simple truth, often overlooked, underscores how much control you have over your emotional reactions. Words, no matter how sharp, are just words. Their impact depends entirely on whether you internalize them. When someone insults you, their intent might be to provoke a reaction, assert dominance, or project their own frustrations onto you. But the insult's success hinges on your willingness to accept it as truth. If you don't believe the insult or value the opinion of the person delivering it, it loses all its sting. Internalizing insults often stems from self-doubt. If you're insecure about a particular trait or aspect of yourself, an insult targeting that area can feel like a painful confirmation of your fears. However, this pain comes not from the insult itself, but from your own agreement with it. By addressing your insecurities and building self-confidence, you strip insults of their power. Consider this. If someone called you a giraffe, you wouldn't feel offended because you know it's not true. But if they criticize your abilities at work or comment on your appearance, and you've been secretly doubting yourself in those areas, their words might hit harder. The key is recognizing that the insult reveals more about the person delivering it than it does about you. The Stoics believed in the power of detachment from external judgments. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." This perspective reframes insults as opportunities for growth. If an insult is baseless, dismiss it. If it contains a kernel of truth, use it as a chance to improve without letting it define you. Reframing insults as reflections of the speaker rather than yourself can also foster resilience. An insult is often a projection of the other person's anger, jealousy, or insecurity. Understanding this can help you respond with calmness and empathy instead of letting their negativity seep into your own self-perception. It's also worth noting that reacting strongly to insults often gives the insulter exactly what they want: validation of their power over you. By remaining unbothered, you deny them that satisfaction and reinforce your emotional independence. Silence or a composed response can be far more disarming than anger or defensiveness. Building a strong sense of self is the ultimate defense against insults. When you truly know your worth and are confident in your values and abilities, external negativity loses its grip on you. This doesn't mean you'll never feel hurt, but the pain will be fleeting because you won't internalize it. Remember, no one can diminish your value unless you allow it. Insults are just noise, and you have the power to tune them out. The next time someone hurls negativity your way, take a deep breath, remind yourself of your worth, and let their words pass through you like wind through an open window. You are not defined by their opinions or their words. Your strength lies in your ability to remain grounded, unshaken by the fleeting judgments of others. 29. Exceptional paths are lonely. The road to exceptional achievement is often paved with solitude. Pursuing greatness by its very nature sets you apart from the majority. When you decide to follow an exceptional path, you inherently diverge from the familiar, the comfortable, and the widely accepted. This divergence creates an inevitable distance between you and others, not because of disdain or superiority, but because your path demands it. People tend to seek comfort in conformity. Society often rewards those who fit in and discourages those who stand out. When you choose to deviate from the norm, you challenge that comfort, and many will not understand or support your choice. This lack of understanding can leave you feeling isolated. Friends who once resonated with you may begin to drift away, unable to grasp your new priorities or ambitions. Family members might question your decisions, expressing concern that stems more from their fear of the unknown than any real danger in your path. Loneliness, however, is not inherently negative. The solitude that comes with pursuing exceptional goals can also be a space for profound self-discovery and growth. It allows you to focus, to eliminate distractions, and to immerse yourself fully in the pursuit of what truly matters to you. In this solitude, you cultivate resilience, self-reliance, and a deeper understanding of your purpose. The Stoics taught that fulfillment comes not from external validation, but from living in accordance with your principles and values. This perspective is crucial when navigating the loneliness of an exceptional path. When your actions align with your inner convictions, the absence of external approval becomes less significant. You realize that your worth is not determined by the number of people who understand or agree with you, but by your ability to stay true to your vision. Exceptional paths also attract resistance. People may criticize, mock, or attempt to dissuade you, often out of their own fears or insecurities. Their words and actions may sting, but they are ultimately irrelevant to your journey. Their misunderstanding is not your burden to carry. Instead of seeking validation from others, seek clarity within yourself. Are you pursuing this path for the right reasons? Are your actions aligned with your values? If the answers are yes, then the loneliness becomes a necessary companion rather than a foe. Solitude also provides a fertile ground for creativity. In the quiet moments of your journey, free from the noise and expectations of the world, you can innovate and explore without constraint. Many of history's greatest achievements were born in solitude, from Einstein's theories developed in isolation to countless works of art created in the privacy of an artist's studio. However, this does not mean you must walk your path entirely alone. Seek out those rare individuals who share your values and vision, those who inspire and challenge you. They may be few and far between, but their presence can provide a powerful counterbalance to the loneliness of your journey. Building connections with like-minded individuals does not dilute your pursuit, it enhances it. Ultimately, the loneliness of an exceptional path is a testament to its rarity and value. If it were easy or widely understood, it would not be exceptional. Embrace the solitude, for it is a sign that you are forging a unique and meaningful way forward. Remember, the journey is yours alone, but the rewards, both internal and external, are worth the price of isolation. 30. Persistence requires enduring long periods without reward. Persistence is the quiet, often unglamorous force behind every meaningful achievement. It requires you to show up day after day, despite the lack of immediate results. This aspect of persistence, the long periods of effort without visible reward, is where many falter. Yet it is precisely in these moments that the seeds of greatness are sown. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, persistence feels counterintuitive. We live in an era where quick fixes and overnight success stories dominate the narrative. But these stories often omit the years of struggle, sacrifice, and unseen labor that precede the spotlight. The truth is, enduring long stretches of effort without tangible rewards is not a sign of failure. It is the natural process of growth. During these periods, doubt can creep in. You may question whether your efforts are worth it, whether you're on the right path, or whether you're capable of achieving your goals. This doubt is normal, but it must not dictate your actions. Persistence requires faith, not blind faith in a guaranteed outcome, but faith in the process, in your ability to adapt, and in the incremental progress you're making, even if it's not immediately visible. The Stoics emphasized focusing on what you can control, your effort, attitude, and actions, rather than the outcomes, which are often beyond your control. This mindset is crucial when navigating the long, rewardless stretches of persistence. By concentrating on the quality of your work and the consistency of your effort, you can find satisfaction in the process itself, independent of external validation. Persistence is not about grinding endlessly without rest or reflection. It's about sustainable effort, about showing up even on days when motivation is absent. It's about finding the discipline to keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps. Each action, no matter how insignificant it seems, contributes to the larger picture. Consider the analogy of a stonecutter striking a rock. The first 100 strikes may appear to do nothing, but on the 101st strike, the rock splits open. It's not that the final strike was the most powerful. It's that each preceding strike contributed to the eventual breakthrough. Persistence operates in much the same way. The rewards may not come immediately, but each effort builds upon the last, laying the foundation for success. It's also important to recognize that the absence of immediate rewards does not mean your efforts are fruitless. Progress often occurs beneath the surface, invisible to the naked eye. A tree does not grow visibly taller every day, but its roots are constantly expanding, drawing nourishment from the soil. Your persistence is cultivating something valuable, even if you can't yet see it. During these long periods of effort, celebrate the small victories. They may not be the ultimate reward you're striving for, but they are milestones that mark your progress. Acknowledge the discipline it takes to persist, the courage it takes to keep going when results are uncertain, and the growth you're experiencing along the way. Persistence also requires patience. Patience with the process, with yourself, and with the world around you. Patience is not passive. It's an active choice to remain steady in the face of challenges and delays. It's the understanding that worthwhile achievements take time, and that rushing the process often leads to compromised results. The beauty of persistence lies in its transformative power. It not only propels you toward your goals, but also shapes your character. Each moment of perseverance strengthens your resolve, sharpens your skills, and deepens your understanding of yourself and your capabilities. In the end, persistence is less about reaching the finish line and more about the journey itself. The rewards, when they come, are a bonus. The real victory lies in knowing that you had the resilience to keep going, the strength to endure, and the determination to stay true to your path. That, in itself, is an achievement worth celebrating. 31. People only root for you after you've succeeded. The reality of human behavior is that people are often more interested in outcomes than processes. While you are in the trenches, battling self-doubt and working tirelessly toward your goals, most will remain indifferent or skeptical. It's only after you've achieved visible success that the applause begins. This isn't a reflection of your worth, but rather a fundamental truth about how people perceive effort and reward. During the grind, your dreams may seem implausible to others. They might not understand your vision or the sacrifices you're making to achieve it. People tend to value what they can see and measure: accomplishments, accolades, and results. The quiet work of building something extraordinary often escapes their notice. This can be disheartening, especially when you're seeking support or encouragement. But it's also liberating when you realize that external validation is not a prerequisite for progress. The Stoics understood this dynamic well. They taught that true fulfillment comes from inner alignment, not from the approval of others. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to act in accordance with his principles, even when others misunderstood or criticized him. Your efforts, whether recognized or not, are still meaningful if they align with your values and goals. The absence of external support does not diminish the value of your work. Ironically, the lack of early support can be a gift. It forces you to rely on yourself, to build self-belief and resilience. You learn to weather criticism, indifference, and even outright opposition. This strengthens your character and sharpens your focus. By the time success arrives and the cheers begin, you've already become the kind of person who doesn't need them. The applause becomes a bonus, not a necessity. When success does come, it often rewrites the narrative. Suddenly, your journey appears inevitable to those who once doubted you. People admire the results, but rarely acknowledge the struggles that preceded them. They don't see the late nights, the sacrifices, or the moments of doubt you endured. It's important to remember that their newfound admiration is a reflection of their perspective, not your reality. The path to success is inherently lonely at times. Many of the people you hope will support you may instead question or even undermine you. This is not necessarily out of malice. Often it's a projection of their own fears or limitations. They may see your ambition as a mirror of their unfulfilled potential, which can be uncomfortable. Your success challenges their status quo, and not everyone is ready for that. Instead of seeking validation from others, focus on your internal metrics for success. Ask yourself whether you are growing, learning, and moving closer to your goals. Trust that those who genuinely care for you will recognize and celebrate your efforts, even if they don't fully understand them. And for those who only cheer after you've succeeded, accept their applause graciously, but don't let it define your worth. The paradox is that once you succeed, the same people who were indifferent or even critical may suddenly claim they always believed in you. This shift can be frustrating, but it's also a testament to the power of visible results. Success has a way of silencing doubters and attracting admirers. The key is to remain grounded. Don't let the applause inflate your ego, just as you didn't let the criticism deter you. Ultimately, the journey to success is yours alone. Others may join you at different points, but the work, the sacrifice, and the growth are deeply personal. When the applause comes, remember that it's a reflection of your results, not your process. Celebrate your achievements, but value the journey even more. The real victory lies in who you've become along the way, not in the cheers of the crowd. 32. Building strong character requires enduring hardship. Strength of character is not born in comfort. It is forged in adversity. The trials and challenges you face in life are not merely obstacles. They are opportunities for growth. Enduring hardship shapes you, teaching resilience, discipline, and a deeper understanding of yourself. While it's natural to avoid discomfort, embracing it is essential for building a strong foundation of character. Hardship reveals who you are at your core. When things are easy, it's simple to appear composed, kind, and principled. But in moments of difficulty, when pressure mounts and the stakes are high, your true character emerges. Adversity strips away pretense, forcing you to confront your fears, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities. This confrontation is not pleasant, but it is necessary. It is in these moments that you discover your capacity for courage, endurance, and integrity. The Stoics believed that hardship is not an unfortunate detour, but a necessary part of life's journey. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, often spoke of using adversity as a tool for self-improvement. He understood that the challenges you face are not meant to break you, but to strengthen you. By enduring and learning from hardship, you transform pain into power and obstacles into opportunities. Hardship also cultivates empathy. Experiencing struggle gives you a deeper understanding of others' pain and challenges. It teaches humility, reminding you that no one is immune to life's difficulties. This empathy makes you more compassionate and better equipped to connect with and support others. It turns your personal trials into a source of wisdom that benefits not only yourself, but also those around you. Building character through hardship requires a shift in mindset. Instead of viewing challenges as punishments or misfortunes, see them as opportunities for growth. This doesn't mean you have to enjoy suffering, but it does mean recognizing its value. Each hardship you endure is a step toward becoming a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. Enduring hardship also teaches patience and perseverance. When faced with long, grueling challenges, you learn to focus on what you can control and to let go of what you cannot. You develop the ability to stay the course, even when progress is slow or invisible. This perseverance becomes a cornerstone of your character, allowing you to tackle future challenges with greater confidence and composure. The process of enduring hardship is not linear. There will be moments of doubt, frustration, and even despair. But these moments are part of the journey. They test your resolve and push you to dig deeper. Each time you overcome a challenge, no matter how small, you build a reserve of inner strength that will serve you in the future. It's important to recognize that hardship does not have to be faced alone. Seeking support from others, friends, family, mentors, does not diminish your strength. On the contrary, it demonstrates wisdom and humility. Sharing your struggles allows you to gain perspective and draw on the collective strength of those who care for you. While enduring hardship is never easy, it is always worthwhile. The character you build through struggle becomes a source of pride and self-respect. It equips you to face future challenges with courage and grace, knowing that you've already overcome so much. It also serves as a reminder that you are capable of more than you think. In the end, the hardships you endure are not just tests of your character, they are opportunities to create it. Embrace them with the understanding that each struggle is a step toward becoming the person you aspire to be. Strength of character is not given. It is earned through perseverance, reflection, and the unwavering commitment to growth. 33. No one can succeed for you. Responsibility is non-negotiable. The foundation of personal success is built on one inescapable truth: no one can do the work for you. While guidance, mentorship, and support are valuable, the ultimate responsibility for your progress and achievements lies squarely on your shoulders. This is not a burden, but a profound opportunity. It means you have the power to shape your own life, no matter your starting point. In a world where quick fixes and shortcuts are glorified, it's easy to fall into the trap of expecting others to pave your way. You might look to experts, family, or society to hand you the tools for success. But the reality is, tools are meaningless without action. A mentor can provide advice, but they can't force you to apply it. A supportive friend can encourage you, but they can't overcome challenges for you. This means you must be willing to take full ownership of your decisions, efforts, and outcomes. Responsibility requires you to step back and assess your current position with brutal honesty. If your life isn't where you want it to be, the first step is acknowledging your role in that reality. This isn't about self-blame or guilt, it's about empowerment. When you accept that your choices, habits, and mindset have contributed to your situation, you also reclaim the ability to change it. Taking responsibility is a daily practice. It's choosing to prioritize growth over comfort, even when no one is watching. It's waking up early to work toward your goals, even when you'd rather stay in bed. It's holding yourself accountable when you fall short and committing to doing better next time. Success is not a singular event, but the result of consistent effort over time. The Stoics emphasized the importance of personal agency and accountability. They believed that external circumstances might be beyond your control, but your actions and responses are entirely within your power. Epictetus famously said, "You are your own master. All else is outside your control." This perspective shifts the focus from external blame to internal action, empowering you to take charge of your destiny. Responsibility can feel overwhelming at times, especially when progress is slow or setbacks occur. But it's in these moments that you discover your resilience. By taking ownership of both your successes and failures, you build a foundation of self-respect and integrity. You stop waiting for others to fix your problems or validate your efforts, recognizing that the path to success is yours alone to walk. The beauty of taking responsibility is that it frees you from dependence on others' approval or assistance. It allows you to become self-reliant and confident in your abilities. This doesn't mean rejecting help or collaboration. It means understanding that even with support, the ultimate effort must come from you. No one else can run the race for you, but they can cheer you on from the sidelines. Responsibility also means embracing the long game. Success rarely happens overnight, and the road is often marked by detours and challenges. When you take full ownership of your journey, you develop the patience and perseverance needed to stay the course. You learn to celebrate small wins along the way, knowing they are building blocks for greater achievements. In the end, taking responsibility is not just about achieving external success. It's about personal growth and fulfillment. It's about becoming the kind of person who can face life's challenges with courage and grace. When you fully embrace the idea that no one can succeed for you, you unlock a sense of empowerment that fuels every aspect of your life. You realize that the keys to your future are in your hands, and that's a gift worth cherishing. 34. The outcome of your actions determines perception. In life, intentions matter, but outcomes define how others perceive you. No matter how noble or well-meaning your efforts are, it is the tangible results of your actions that shape opinions and reputations. This truth can feel harsh, but it is also a reminder of the importance of aligning your intentions with effective execution. Good intentions without results can often lead to frustration or misunderstanding. Imagine promising someone that you'll deliver an important project on time, but failing to follow through due to poor planning. Your intention might have been sincere, but the missed deadline overshadows your effort. People judge actions by their visible impact, not by the thoughts or feelings behind them. The Stoics understood this principle well. They emphasized that virtue lies in aligning your actions with your values and ensuring that those actions produce meaningful outcomes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This reflects the Stoic belief that actions speak louder than words. Talk and intention mean little without the discipline to back them up with results. To ensure your actions align with your desired outcomes, it's essential to focus on preparation and execution. This means setting clear goals, planning effectively, and holding yourself accountable. It's not enough to aspire to excellence. You must take deliberate steps to achieve it. By doing so, you build trust and credibility, both with yourself and others. The perception of your actions also ties closely to the concept of responsibility. When you accept that your actions will be judged by their outcomes, you take greater care in your decisions. This doesn't mean obsessing over others' opinions, but understanding that your legacy is shaped by what you achieve and contribute. Sometimes, the outcomes of your actions may not align with your intentions due to factors beyond your control. In such cases, it's important to learn from the experience and adjust your approach. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a step on the journey toward it. The key is to take responsibility for what you can control and to refine your efforts for better results in the future. Perception is also influenced by consistency. A single successful action might earn you temporary praise, but sustained effort and achievement build lasting respect. People admire those who consistently deliver on their promises and excel in their endeavors. This requires discipline, focus, and a commitment to continuous improvement. Understanding that outcomes shape perception is not about seeking validation, but about striving for excellence. It's about recognizing that your actions have a ripple effect, influencing how others view you and how you view yourself. By aligning your efforts with meaningful results, you build a reputation that reflects your values and capabilities. The reality is that life rewards those who can turn intentions into achievements. Whether in your personal or professional life, the ability to produce results sets you apart. It demonstrates competence, reliability, and a dedication to your craft. While good intentions are important, they must be paired with effective action to truly make an impact. The outcomes of your actions are the bridges between your intentions and others' perceptions. They define your legacy and influence how you are remembered. By focusing on execution and striving for consistent results, you ensure that your actions align with your values and aspirations. Let your outcomes speak for you, and let them tell a story of dedication, resilience, and purpose. 35. Cancel culture impacts only if you let it. Cancel culture, the phenomenon where public opinion can seemingly erase someone's reputation or career overnight, is one of the most polarizing aspects of modern society. At its core, cancel culture derives power from the collective judgment of others, often amplified by social media. While it can expose genuine wrongdoing, it can also become a tool for mob mentality, leaving little room for nuance, growth, or redemption. But here's a crucial truth. The impact of cancel culture is determined not solely by external forces, but by how you respond to it. The Stoics believed in the power of controlling your response to external events. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Cancel culture, in many ways, embodies this teaching. The initial wave of criticism may feel overwhelming, but its lasting impact depends largely on whether you internalize it or rise above it. When faced with public scrutiny, many people fall into the trap of over-identifying with the opinions of others. They may spiral into self-doubt, trying to appease every critic or retreating into shame and fear. However, cancel culture thrives on this very reaction. By allowing others' judgments to define your sense of self-worth, you give them power over your life. The antidote to this lies in embracing Stoic resilience and grounding yourself in your principles. A clear conscience is your strongest defense. If you've made a mistake, own up to it with sincerity and commit to genuine growth. But if the criticism is unfounded or exaggerated, recognize it for what it is: noise that doesn't deserve to derail your purpose. Confidence in the face of cancel culture comes from knowing who you are and standing by your values. This doesn't mean being inflexible or dismissive of feedback. It means discerning constructive criticism from destructive condemnation. The world is full of opinions, but not all opinions are worth entertaining. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Another key to neutralizing cancel culture is to focus on action rather than reaction. Let your character and contributions speak louder than the controversy. Over time, consistent effort and integrity can overshadow even the harshest criticisms. People respect those who remain steadfast in their purpose despite adversity. Cancel culture also serves as a reminder to be mindful of your own actions and words. While you can't control how others react, you can strive to act in ways that align with your values and minimize harm. This doesn't mean walking on eggshells, but practicing empathy, self-awareness, and accountability. Ultimately, cancel culture only has as much power as you give it. By refusing to let external noise dictate your sense of self or derail your path, you reclaim your agency. You can choose to grow stronger through the experience, using it as an opportunity to reaffirm your values and refine your purpose. Remember, the judgments of others are fleeting, but your character and resilience endure. 36. Confidence grows from internal validation. Confidence, the elusive quality that so many chase, is often misunderstood. Many believe that confidence stems from external factors, praise, achievements, or societal approval. But true, unshakable confidence is not built on the shifting sands of external validation. It is cultivated from within, rooted in a deep understanding of your worth and values. The pursuit of external validation can feel like chasing a mirage. No matter how much applause or recognition you receive, it never seems to be enough. The moment the applause fades, self-doubt creeps in, leaving you vulnerable to the opinions of others. This cycle can trap you in a constant state of seeking approval, eroding your self-worth in the process. True confidence, on the other hand, is anchored in internal validation. It comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for, independent of external approval. It's the quiet assurance that you are enough, regardless of what others think or say. This kind of confidence is unshakable because it is not tied to fleeting circumstances or opinions. Building internal validation requires self-awareness and self-acceptance. It starts with taking the time to understand your values, strengths, and aspirations. What drives you? What do you stand for? When you have a clear sense of purpose, you no longer need external validation to feel worthy. You become your own source of affirmation. The Stoics taught the importance of self-reliance and inner strength. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Confidence is freedom. When you derive your sense of worth from within, you free yourself from the need to constantly seek approval or compare yourself to others. You become the master of your own self-esteem." Cultivating internal validation also involves embracing your imperfections. Confidence is not about being flawless. It's about accepting yourself as a work in progress. When you make peace with your flaws and mistakes, you become less vulnerable to criticism. You understand that your worth is not diminished by setbacks or imperfections. One of the most powerful ways to build confidence is through action. Each time you take a step toward your goals, even in the face of fear or doubt, you reinforce your belief in your abilities. Confidence is a skill, and like any skill, it grows through practice. The more you challenge yourself and push beyond your comfort zone, the stronger your confidence becomes. Internal validation also means setting boundaries and saying no when necessary. Confidence is knowing that you don't have to please everyone or meet unrealistic expectations. It's the ability to stand firm in your decisions, even when others disagree. This kind of self-assurance commands respect and allows you to live authentically. The journey to building internal validation is not always easy. It requires you to confront your insecurities and reframe negative self-talk. But the rewards are immeasurable. When you cultivate confidence from within, you become resilient in the face of adversity. You no longer depend on others to affirm your worth, because you've already affirmed it for yourself. Confidence rooted in internal validation is liberating. It allows you to show up as your authentic self, pursue your goals with determination, and face challenges with courage. It's a quiet, steady force that doesn't waver with external circumstances. As you grow in self-awareness and self-acceptance, you'll discover that the confidence you've been seeking has been within you all along. 37. Monetizing your passion can ruin it. Passion is a unique and precious force. It's the spark that keeps you motivated, the deep well of enthusiasm that makes time fly when you're immersed in something you love. But in today's world, there's an almost automatic pressure to turn every passion into profit. Whether it's photography, writing, cooking, or even gardening, the narrative often suggests that if you love something, the next step is to monetize it. While this might seem like the ultimate validation of your craft, the reality is far more complex. The act of monetizing your passion can change the very essence of why you started in the first place. What once felt joyful and free can begin to feel like a chore when it's tied to financial outcomes. Deadlines, client demands, and the pressure to constantly produce can strip away the spontaneity and creativity that made your passion so fulfilling. You may find yourself creating not because you want to, but because you have to. The shift from passion to obligation can leave you feeling disconnected from the very thing that used to bring you joy. There's also the danger of overexposure. When you turn your passion into a business, you open it up to scrutiny and criticism. What once was a private refuge becomes public property, vulnerable to the opinions of others. This external judgment can sap your enthusiasm and make you second-guess your abilities. The joy of creating for yourself gets replaced by the anxiety of meeting other people's expectations. Monetizing your passion often comes with compromises. To appeal to a broader audience or maximize profits, you may need to adapt or dilute your original vision. This can feel like a betrayal of your authentic self, leaving you wondering whether you're still pursuing your passion or just chasing approval and financial rewards. The commercialization of passion can create a disconnect between what you love and what you now have to do to maintain the business. The Stoics remind us of the importance of intention and balance. Seneca advised, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." In the same vein, it's vital to ask whether monetizing your passion will enhance your life or detract from it. If turning your passion into a business brings more stress and diminishes your love for the craft, it's worth re-evaluating the decision. This isn't to say that monetizing your passion is always detrimental. For some, it's a deeply rewarding experience that allows them to share their talents with the world and sustain themselves financially. The key is to approach it with awareness and boundaries. Set clear expectations for yourself and ensure that you're not sacrificing your love for the craft in the process. Sometimes, the most fulfilling way to nurture a passion is to keep it separate from financial pressures. Let it remain a source of joy, creativity, and personal growth, untethered from the demands of the market. When you create solely for yourself, you preserve the purity of your passion, ensuring that it remains a source of happiness and fulfillment. In the end, the decision to monetize your passion is a deeply personal one. It requires you to weigh the potential rewards against the risks of losing what made your passion meaningful in the first place. Success isn't always about turning everything into a business. Sometimes success is finding a way to protect and nurture the things you love without compromising their essence. 38. Success demands ruthless sacrifices. Success is often glamorized as the pinnacle of achievement, a glittering prize that promises fulfillment and happiness. But behind the polished facade lies a truth that many overlook. Success comes at a cost. To achieve extraordinary results, you must be willing to make ruthless sacrifices, choices that test your limits, challenge your values, and force you to confront the uncomfortable reality of trade-offs. Every significant achievement demands time, energy, and focus. The time you invest in pursuing your goals is time you take away from other areas of your life. Relationships, leisure, and personal well-being often bear the brunt of these sacrifices. It's not uncommon for those chasing success to find themselves isolated, disconnected from loved ones, or struggling to maintain their mental and physical health. The question isn't whether you'll make sacrifices, but which ones you're willing to make. The path to success requires an unwavering commitment to your vision. This often means saying no to distractions, opportunities, and even people who don't align with your goals. It means prioritizing long-term gains over short-term pleasures, a discipline that can feel isolating and exhausting. You may need to let go of comfort and security, embracing uncertainty and risk as necessary companions on the journey. Success also demands resilience in the face of setbacks. The sacrifices you make can feel unbearable when progress is slow or when failure looms large. In these moments, the temptation to give up can be overwhelming. But true success requires the ability to endure hardship, to push through the pain and doubt, and to keep going even when the odds seem stacked against you. As the Stoics taught, the obstacle is the way. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger and more determined. The sacrifices don't end once you achieve success. In many cases, they only intensify. Maintaining your achievements and building on them requires ongoing effort and commitment. The pressure to stay relevant, innovate, or outperform your competitors can feel relentless. Success is not a destination, but a continuous journey that demands vigilance and adaptation. While the sacrifices are real, so are the rewards. Success can bring a deep sense of accomplishment, the fulfillment of realizing your potential, and the ability to make a meaningful impact. But it's essential to define success on your terms. The sacrifices you're willing to make should align with your values and aspirations. Success that comes at the cost of your integrity, health, or relationships is ultimately hollow. The Stoics remind us to approach life with wisdom and perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This reminder of mortality can help you weigh the sacrifices you're making and ensure that they're worth the price. Success should enhance your life, not consume it. In the end, success is not for the faint-hearted. It requires grit, perseverance, and a willingness to make difficult choices. But it also demands balance and self-awareness. The sacrifices you make should serve a purpose, propelling you toward a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. By staying true to your values and priorities, you can achieve success without losing yourself in the process. 39. Starting conditions will never be perfect. The idea of waiting for the perfect moment is one of the greatest deceptions we tell ourselves. It's easy to believe that success is dependent on flawless starting conditions, a surplus of resources, an ideal environment, or the absence of obstacles. But the reality is that perfection is an illusion. If you're waiting for the stars to align before you begin, you'll likely wait forever. Life is inherently messy and unpredictable. Circumstances rarely fall into place the way you want them to, and more often than not, the conditions you start with are far from ideal. Whether it's a lack of experience, insufficient funds, or personal doubts, the barriers are real, but they are also part of the process. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who started with perfect conditions. They are the ones who started despite their imperfect circumstances. When you embrace the reality that starting conditions will never be perfect, you free yourself from the paralysis of waiting. Action becomes your weapon against uncertainty. The first step is often the hardest, but it's also the most important. Every successful person was once a beginner, fumbling their way through the unknown. What sets them apart is their willingness to take that first step and figure it out as they go. Progress, not perfection, is what builds momentum. Your starting point doesn't determine your destination. It's what you do with the hand you're dealt that matters. Some of the most extraordinary achievements in history came from individuals who started with seemingly insurmountable odds. They didn't have all the answers. They simply had the courage to begin. The Stoics remind us that control lies in our actions, not external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Waiting for perfect conditions gives power to external factors, but starting anyway reclaims that power for yourself. You learn, adapt, and grow through the process of doing, not waiting. It's also important to recognize that imperfection is a gift. It forces creativity, resilience, and resourcefulness. When you don't have everything you need, you learn to make do with what you have. This fosters innovation and helps you discover strengths you didn't know you had. The constraints you face can become the very things that propel you forward. The key is to start small. Focus on what you can control and build from there. Each step, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goals. Waiting for the perfect moment is a luxury you can't afford. Time is finite, and every moment spent waiting is a moment lost. In the end, the perfect moment is a myth. The only moment you truly have is now. Embrace the messiness of life and take action, even when the conditions are far from ideal. You'll find that the act of starting creates its own momentum, paving the way for growth and progress. Success doesn't come to those who wait for perfection. It comes to those who dare to begin. 40. Your life reflects your worth. Your life is a mirror of your choices, actions, and priorities. It's a reflection of how much you value yourself and the standards you hold. Every decision you make, from the people you surround yourself with to the habits you cultivate, is a testament to your self-worth. If you feel stuck or dissatisfied, it's worth asking, are you living a life that aligns with your worth? Self-worth isn't about arrogance or entitlement. It's about recognizing your intrinsic value and treating yourself accordingly. People often accept mediocrity in their lives, not because they lack potential, but because they don't believe they deserve better. They stay in toxic relationships, settle for unfulfilling jobs, or neglect their health because deep down they've convinced themselves that this is the best they can do. The Stoics teach us that our actions define us. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you want your life to reflect your worth, you must align your actions with the person you aspire to be." This means setting boundaries, pursuing your goals, and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. Your environment plays a significant role in shaping your life. The people you associate with, the habits you maintain, and the choices you make all contribute to the quality of your life. If you surround yourself with negativity or indulge in destructive behaviors, your life will reflect that. Conversely, if you cultivate positive relationships, adopt healthy habits, and strive for excellence, your life will mirror those values. It's also important to recognize that worth is built through action. Confidence and self-respect are not handed to you. They are earned through the consistent effort to improve and uphold your standards. When you treat yourself with respect, others will follow suit. When you demand more from yourself, life will respond in kind. The path to a life that reflects your worth is not easy. It requires self-discipline, courage, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. You may need to let go of toxic relationships, make sacrifices, or step out of your comfort zone. But these challenges are what forge character and build a life that aligns with your values. The Stoics remind us to focus on what is within our control. You can't change everything about your circumstances, but you can change how you respond to them. By taking ownership of your life and making intentional choices, you can create a life that reflects your worth and values. Ultimately, your life is a canvas, and you are the artist. The choices you make, the standards you set, and the actions you take all contribute to the masterpiece you create. If you want your life to reflect your worth, start by treating yourself with the respect, care, and effort you deserve. The world will mirror what you project, and your life will become a reflection of the worth you embody. 41. Cynicism is not intelligence. Cynicism often masquerades as a mark of intelligence. It's easy to equate a skeptical, jaded perspective with wisdom, but true intelligence is far more nuanced. While cynicism might feel like a protective shield against disappointment, it often becomes a barrier to growth, connection, and understanding. Cynics pride themselves on seeing through the illusions and false promises of the world. They view optimism as naivete and enthusiasm as foolishness. But what they often fail to realize is that their skepticism, though sharp, is inherently limited. Dismissing everything outright as flawed or doomed requires less effort than engaging with complexity or seeking solutions. It's a shortcut, a way to appear insightful without putting in the work to truly understand. The Stoics recognized the importance of a balanced perspective. They valued discernment, not disdain. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is not an endorsement of blind faith or uncritical optimism, but rather a call to focus on what you can control and approach life with clarity and purpose. Cynicism, by contrast, often abdicates responsibility. It resigns itself to the inevitability of failure, leaving no room for action or change. True intelligence lies in curiosity and adaptability. It requires an openness to new ideas, even those that challenge your preconceived notions. It involves the ability to critique without rejecting, to question without dismissing, and to hope without delusion. Intelligence seeks understanding, while cynicism seeks validation of its own disillusionment. Cynicism can also be a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you approach life expecting the worst, you often miss opportunities to create or experience the best. A cynical outlook narrows your vision, filtering out possibilities that don't align with your pessimistic worldview. It may protect you from disappointment, but it also prevents you from achieving meaningful success or fulfillment. It's important to recognize that cynicism often stems from fear or past hurts. It's easier to adopt a cynical stance than to risk vulnerability or face uncertainty. But the courage to hope, to strive, and to believe in the possibility of improvement is what sets truly intelligent people apart. They understand that progress requires effort, and effort requires a willingness to engage with the world, flaws and all. The antidote to cynicism is action. Instead of dismissing problems as unsolvable or systems as irredeemable, focus on what you can contribute. Even small actions can have a ripple effect. Cynicism drains energy, but purposeful action replenishes it. When you choose to engage rather than withdraw, you reclaim agency over your life and its outcomes. In the end, cynicism is not a measure of intelligence, but a reflection of where you've stopped looking for solutions. True intelligence requires optimism, not the blind kind, but the informed, resilient optimism that fuels progress and change. It's the kind of optimism that sees the flaws in the world, yet chooses to act anyway. 42. Success requires doing things you hate. The path to success is often romanticized. We picture the entrepreneur who loves their work, the artist inspired by their passion, or the athlete driven by their dreams. But behind every story of achievement lies an unglamorous truth. Success requires doing things you hate. The reality is that every worthwhile pursuit involves tasks that are tedious, uncomfortable, or downright unpleasant. No one enjoys every aspect of their work, no matter how passionate they are about the outcome. Whether it's enduring long hours, handling rejection, or mastering mundane but essential skills, the road to success is paved with tasks most people would rather avoid. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus taught that discipline is the cornerstone of a virtuous life. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This philosophy applies directly to the pursuit of success. If you want to achieve greatness, you must be willing to embrace the uncomfortable, the boring, and the difficult. Avoiding these tasks might feel good in the short term, but it sabotages your long-term goals. Success is not built on fleeting moments of inspiration, but on consistent effort and perseverance. It's about showing up and doing the work, even when it's the last thing you want to do. This is where true discipline comes into play. It's not about motivation, which comes and goes, but about commitment to the bigger picture. Doing things you hate also builds resilience. It forces you to confront your limits and push through them. Each time you tackle a task you'd rather avoid, you strengthen your ability to persevere. This mental toughness becomes an invaluable asset, not just in your pursuit of success, but in every aspect of life. It's also worth noting that the things you hate doing often hold the most potential for growth. They challenge you in ways that your comfort zone never will. The tasks you dread are often the ones that develop new skills, open doors, or set you apart from others who are unwilling to put in the effort. Success is rarely about doing what's easy. It's about doing what's necessary. This doesn't mean you should force yourself to endure misery for its own sake. The goal is to balance the unpleasant aspects of your work with the fulfillment of your larger purpose. When you keep your why in mind, the vision or values driving your efforts, it becomes easier to push through the tough moments. The unpleasant tasks become stepping stones rather than obstacles. In the pursuit of success, it's essential to accept that discomfort is part of the process. The willingness to do things you hate is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short. It's not about enjoying every moment, but about committing to the journey, knowing that the rewards will far outweigh the sacrifices. Ultimately, success is not just about reaching the finish line. It's about who you become along the way. The effort, discipline, and perseverance required to do the hard things shape your character and prepare you for even greater challenges ahead. So embrace the tasks you hate, not as burdens, but as opportunities to grow stronger, smarter, and more capable. They are the price of admission to the life you truly want. 43. Pain is part of being human. Pain is an inescapable aspect of life. No matter how much we try to shield ourselves from it, it finds a way to remind us of its presence. Whether physical, emotional, or existential, pain is woven into the fabric of our existence. Yet, as unpleasant as it may be, pain is not an enemy. It's a teacher. The Stoics embraced the inevitability of pain as a fundamental truth of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This perspective doesn't trivialize pain, but reframes it as something we can endure and learn from, rather than something we must fear or resent. Pain strips away illusions and exposes what truly matters. It forces us to confront our vulnerabilities, question our assumptions, and reevaluate our priorities. While we may view pain as something to avoid at all costs, it often brings clarity and perspective that comfort and ease cannot. Pain sharpens our focus and reminds us of our resilience. Resisting pain only amplifies its effects. When we try to numb or suppress it, we often create additional layers of suffering. True strength lies in acknowledging pain, sitting with it, and allowing it to teach us what it will. This doesn't mean wallowing in misery, but facing pain with courage and acceptance. It's through this process that we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Pain also connects us to others. It is a universal experience that transcends differences and unites us in our shared humanity. When we embrace the reality of our own pain, we become more compassionate toward the struggles of others. This empathy fosters connection and understanding, reminding us that we are not alone in our suffering. Enduring pain doesn't mean you have to face it stoically in isolation. Seeking support, whether through friends, family, or professional help, is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. Sharing our burdens allows us to process them more effectively and reminds us that there is strength in vulnerability. Pain is not a punishment, but a natural part of being alive. It shapes us, teaches us, and ultimately makes us more human. By accepting pain as an integral part of life, we transform it from an adversary into an ally in our journey of growth and self-discovery. The goal is not to live a life free of pain, but to live a life where pain is met with courage, grace, and a steadfast determination to move forward. 44. Hardship creates character. Hardship is the crucible in which character is forged. Without challenges, struggles, and setbacks, we would remain untested, unrefined, and ultimately unprepared for the complexities of life. While hardship is seldom welcomed, it is an essential ingredient in the making of a resilient and meaningful existence. The Stoics recognized the transformative power of hardship. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Adversity forces us to confront our limitations, stretch our capabilities, and adapt to circumstances we might never have chosen, but are ultimately better for enduring. It is through these trials that we discover who we truly are." Hardship strips away pretense and exposes our core values and beliefs. When life is easy, it's tempting to take things for granted or to lose sight of what's truly important. Challenges remind us of our priorities and test our commitment to them. They reveal what we're willing to fight for and what we can let go of. The process of enduring hardship also builds resilience. Each obstacle we overcome adds to our reservoir of strength and fortitude, preparing us for future challenges. It's not just about surviving difficult times, but thriving in spite of them. Hardship teaches us that we are stronger than we think and capable of more than we imagine. Moreover, hardship fosters humility. It reminds us of our dependence on others and our place in the larger fabric of humanity. Struggles make us more empathetic and less judgmental, as we come to understand that everyone is carrying their own burdens. This sense of shared experience can deepen our connections and inspire us to offer support and kindness to those in need. Hardship also sparks growth. It pushes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to develop new skills, perspectives, and coping mechanisms. While the process can be painful, the outcome is often a wiser, more capable version of ourselves. Adversity shapes us in ways that success alone cannot. Facing hardship doesn't mean denying its difficulty or pretending to enjoy it. It's about acknowledging the struggle while choosing to persevere. It's about maintaining hope and faith in the possibility of a brighter future, even when the path forward seems unclear. This resilience is the foundation of character. The lessons learned through hardship often stay with us for a lifetime. They become the stories we tell, the wisdom we share, and the legacy we leave behind. While it's natural to wish for an easier life, it's important to remember that it's the hard moments that define us and give our lives depth and meaning. Ultimately, hardship is not a detour on the road to a fulfilling life. It is the road itself. It shapes our character, tests our resolve, and reminds us of our capacity for growth and transformation. By embracing hardship with courage and resilience, we not only survive, but thrive, emerging stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead. 45. Stop chasing validation. The endless pursuit of validation is a trap that ensnares far too many of us. It's a cycle that promises fulfillment but delivers fleeting satisfaction at best, and at worst, it leaves us feeling hollow and disconnected from our true selves. Chasing validation is like trying to fill a bottomless pit with drops of water. No matter how much you pour in, it will never be enough. At its core, the desire for validation stems from a basic human need to belong, to feel valued, and to know that our efforts matter. But when this need becomes an obsession, it hijacks our sense of self-worth. We begin to measure our value not by our own standards, but by the ever-shifting opinions of others. This makes us vulnerable, perpetually at the mercy of external approval, which can be as fickle as the wind. The pursuit of validation often leads to compromise, not the healthy kind that fosters understanding, but the insidious kind that erodes authenticity. We start bending ourselves to fit molds that were never meant for us, saying and doing things that align more with what others want to see than with who we truly are. Over time, this can create a disconnect between the person we are and the person we project, leaving us feeling like strangers in our own lives. Validation seeking also robs us of peace. When we live for likes, applause, or compliments, we place our happiness in the hands of others, relinquishing control over our emotions and self-esteem. Every criticism, slight, or moment of indifference becomes a blow to our sense of self-worth. This is no way to live, constantly on edge, wondering if we're doing enough to please a world that will never be fully satisfied. To break free from this cycle, we must learn to validate ourselves. This doesn't mean isolating ourselves from others or rejecting all feedback. It means shifting the primary source of our worth from external to internal. It's about developing a relationship with ourselves that is built on self-respect, self-awareness, and self-compassion. It's about becoming our own cheerleader, supporter, and confidant. The first step is recognizing our intrinsic value, understanding that we are worthy simply because we exist, not because of what we achieve, how we look, or what others think of us. This is not arrogance. It's a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing we are enough, regardless of external validation. Another important step is setting boundaries. This means being selective about whose opinions we allow to influence us. Not all feedback is valuable, and not all critics have our best interests at heart. Learning to discern between constructive criticism and baseless judgment can protect us from the noise of unnecessary validation seeking. It's also essential to cultivate a sense of purpose that is independent of external recognition. When we are deeply connected to what we do, whether it's our work, art, relationships, or hobbies, the need for validation fades. The act itself becomes its own reward, and we find fulfillment in the process, not just the outcome. Letting go of the need for validation doesn't mean we stop caring about others or become indifferent to their feelings. It simply means we stop letting their opinions define us. It's about finding balance, valuing connection without losing ourselves in the process. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius advised, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." His words are a reminder to prioritize our inner voice over the clamor of external judgment. True freedom lies in living authentically, guided by our own principles and values, rather than the ever-changing expectations of others. When we stop chasing validation, we reclaim our power. We become free to live on our own terms, to make choices that align with our values, and to pursue goals that genuinely matter to us. We stop running the exhausting race for approval and start walking our own path, confident in who we are and what we stand for. In the end, the most fulfilling validation is the kind we give ourselves. It's the quiet assurance that we are living a life true to our values, a life we can look back on with pride. When we let go of the need for external validation, we don't lose anything. We gain everything. We gain freedom, authenticity, and the unshakable peace that comes from knowing we are enough. As we come to the end of these 45 brutally honest lessons, one thing becomes crystal clear. Improving your life requires facing hard truths and taking deliberate action. The Stoics believed that growth comes from embracing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be, and using that understanding to live with purpose, clarity, and strength. These lessons aren't just ideas, they're blueprints for building a life of resilience, fulfillment, and true freedom. The journey of self-improvement isn't always comfortable, but it's always worth it. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to becoming the person you've always wanted to be. So take these lessons to heart, start where you are, and remember that the power to transform your life lies in your hands. Now, it's your turn. What's the one brutally honest lesson that resonated most with you? Or is there a truth you've learned in your own journey that others need to hear? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights could be the spark that inspires someone else to take action. If these lessons inspired you, there's so much more wisdom waiting for you. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that helps you unlock your full potential. Let's continue this journey of growth together.